Hello, and welcome to Baelnorn and Friends. It's St. Patrick's Day. It was not made on, or we didn't do it on purpose, but so I'm drinking three different beers this time: a Harper Lager, Guinness, and a Smithwick's Red Ale. Yeah, it's Irish Day. So we got a larger cast than normal. We'll go this way, and go ahead and introduce yourself. That was
What was that?
Ormus.
Oh, sorry. On my screen, you're pointing away from me.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. So,
Hmm.
Oramis, yeah, from Northern Lights. I'm drinking in honor of St. Patrick's Day. I have tequila and raspberry lemonade. So,
Uh, I'll go next. I'm Talius from Northern Lights. I'm drinking Bombay Sapphire, or it's actually Bombay Bramble. That's what it's called. It's blackberry and raspberry gin.
All right. I am Requiem from Blackspire, and I am drinking Crown and Coke because I've already drank all the Irish whiskey.
Unum from the Northern Lights. I'm currently taste testing these truly fruit punches. I've had one that was the worst thing ever, and then one that was okay. So we're gonna try this berry punch and see if it's any good.
Question. Worst thing ever. Was it blackberry?
No, it was literally the fruit punch,
Oh,
like
ouch. Those are usually
the,
pretty
the
good.
basic fruit punch. It was. I've never tasted anything worse.
spoiler alert, they're all terrible.
Yeah.
I
I'm
mean,
gonna taste
yeah.
test it here live right now.
Oh, wow.
It's not good, but it's not the worst either. So
So what you're saying is it's bad, but it's not Four Locos.
yeah,
Whoa. Hold your fucking tongue.
Do you like White Claw? I mean, why'd you get Truly's?
oh no, I've never had White Claw, but
Hmm.
truly I've just liked it.
Oh, all right.
Mainly the lemonades and the teas.
I haven't tasted a difference between Truly's and White Claw, really. And I'm just not a seltzer fan.
I can't do like the regular seltzer. It's got to be like the lemonade or mixed of some kind. Uh, I really like the Truly lemonades. And I'm so surprised how much I hated the Truly teas. They're horrible.
Well, I'm looking forward to not having them then. So, yeah, things that have happened recently. Coronation happened in Blackspire 2 weeks ago, I think it was. I don't remember. Oh my god. But coronation at Silver Moon, I ended up grilling burgers. I ended up making 50 burgers. First time I've done a fiesta in Blackspire since the pandemic. So that was kind of fun. I made a vlog about it. And I was really happy about that. I actually only had 2 day turnaround because I actually planned it all out and did my shots and then like the next day edited it and it was all great. I don't normally have that fast a turnaround.
Sounds awesome.
Is Northern Lights I guess your coronation is coming up next weekend.
Yes, sir.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah. It'll be nice. 'Cause it's gonna be Veronica's stepping down as queen. I'm stepping down as Baron of my local park, so it'll be a nice little quiet summer with no one holding any offices. So that'll be cool.
I'm stepping down too, so that means we all get a party.
That's right.
I look forward to visiting and partying with you all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We don't
hot
have to go
girl
to
summer.
Amtgard. Yeah, hell yeah.
Actually, all three of us just got done with a 10-year. Gonna take a break for 6 months and actually take a break this time.
Nice. We all
Yeah, because
say it.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Obsidian Grove just had coordination. When would you have coordination last weekend?
Our coronation was the week before Kingdom coronation.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, ours is generally either 2 weeks before or 1 week before. And so that way it lines up for Pack War and all that stuff, because a whole bunch of stuff happened back when turning in contracts and all that, like 10, 15 years ago, whenever that was.
Hmm.
So,
Our park just randomly does it. Sometimes it's before coronation, sometimes it's after coronation. Whatever works.
mm-hmm.
I think we try to do ours after. This reign, it's a week after. Mostly because historically, the kingdom plans farther ahead what awards they're going to give out than we do. So we would give a bunch of awards, and the kingdom would award a bunch of duplicates the next week if we went
Ooh.
before. So because our stuff was more last minute, so now we just wait till after.
What
Yeah,
would
we
solve that is if the kingdom didn't hand out low-level awards.
Yeah.
and say Blackspire actually did pretty good. We don't usually hand out awards at all. Not just kidding.
I mean, that's not true. I've been around for the last couple of years.
No, but I think one thing that's been kind of cool that's been happening, I don't know about this last year, but when the kingdom representatives go to the different parks, like if there's someone receiving below a sixth, and say it's a shire or something like that, and they can't grant it themselves, when they actually travel to the different holdings, so that way they're actually around their people and stuff like that, and bestow the award on that, it cuts down on like camp out or the big courts, but then also kind of gives them that moment of recognition around the people that actually mean a lot to them and stuff. I think that's a really cool thing that I've seen happen a couple of times. Is that something that happens up in Northern Lights and VO that you guys are aware of, or is it mostly the 3-hour-long courts at camp out?
It has been happening at least sometimes more recently. I'm a big fan of the change. Like, 'cause
That was
I hate court.
that was what Veronica
Yeah.
was doing for a while. It was up to 7 was being awarded at the park level, and then 8 and up was being awarded at the big kingdom courts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm also not a fan of the big courts. I remember Iris Steery handing out like 4-hour-long court awards just stacked like this thick. And it's like,
No, thank you.
it's not my thing. Awards are nice, but just weren't distributed equally, I guess.
I will take my hat off to Northern Lights. When I was up there at last NLCC, when y'all were giving out awards, you would also call up the holder of the park, and y'all would. It's like, okay, so and so here? Nope. Okay, here. And then you hand it off to them, so that way they could, But that way you guys actually went through the stuff fast too, and I thought that was a really awesome idea because it's still coming from the kingdom, but that way you got the cruise along.
Yeah.
Oh, that looks like it didn't taste as good as you thought it would.
Oh my god, that tasted so bad. I don't know why.
Oh my god, what was it? Was that your
That's
tequila?
Yeah, the tequila, and I thought raspberry lemonade would go good with it. Man, I was wrong.
No.
Nothing goes good with tequila except lime.
And
Normally anything citrusy could
tequila.
be okay. Ah, it caught me off guard how little it tasted like lemonade.
That's rough. Bad alcohol can be really bad.
I think I might just put way too much tequila in, honestly. It's a
Oh no.
possibility.
Can you see anything but tequila in your drink?
I mean, it's supposed to be like raspberry lemonade. It's not very pink.
Then you need
So
more tequila.
I'm a little concerned, but we're gonna keep going.
Do it.
Yeah.
I got several beers. I don't have any liquor though. I started off early. I did my St. Patrick's Day celebrating with my brother. I went to a drinking beer fast because gas. But no, I went to a local pub, the Conservatory Bar. It's like walking distance from our house, and they have really good food, and they have like a really good mixed drink list, and they always make special mixed drinks and special food. So I got a nice corned beef sandwich for my St. Patrick's Day. Had some shepherd's pie, some bread pudding, and had a Irish whiskey and whipped cream vodka topped with Lucky Charms and a gold chocolate coin.
Jesus.
It tasted like really sweet whiskey. Not my cup of tea, but some people might like it. Also had a gin and matcha drink that was really good. It tasted more like matcha than gin, since I don't like gin. That was great. And then, of course, I had a Guinness.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Then I came home and tried to have a nap. Didn't work out.
And here we are.
And here we are. Exactly.
Yeah.
I was hoping to get a little toasty before getting on stream, just because it's that kind of day, but didn't work out. Got too full on food. And thank you for the 2 people that are in garb. I forgot my garb in the car. 3?
3.
2.5.
Oh, Ace has garb? Oh, okay.
I think so.
I know it's black and yellow. It's hard to tell, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
I got a
I
Peconic
tried.
song.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
I
no,
forget my
this is,
garb in the car half the time.
no, this is my sleeves are bullshit tunic, where
Mm.
it's still a tunic, but it doesn't have sleeves. No, it's actually really great for gambusing. I learned that this winter.
Talius didn't want to put on garb because it would hide his chain.
He's too
No,
cool.
I can't wear it if I have garb on because it's
That's
like
what it said.
unadorned. So
Oh yeah.
That's actually
Yeah, you're the only non-nut here.
all right, I'm going home.
Oh yes.
You are home.
You are home.
Oh, and we have one person joining us later. I forgot to mention. Critias is going to try and make it a little bit later tonight. And that'll be another night to mock Talius.
Yeah.
he's
yeah, I'm
busy
sure he's
picking up
loving
the
it.
big chickens.
Yeah, that nighting was wild.
A lot of things about that event were wild.
Yeah. I mean, his vigil, his nighting.
It's vigil.
Oh,
Dude,
man.
y'all go wild with the vigils down there. I went to like I sat at Torque's vigil and like they're like, "Oh, you're gonna give him another drink?" I was like, "No, that man's almost gone." Like, and yeah, and then I saw the pictures and stuff from Critias's, and dude, you guys go all out.
Critias did it right. He got drunk in 2 hours and went to bed.
Just bang it out quick.
Yeah. Everclear, not knowing how to moderate yourself with Everclear is dangerous.
Everyone
You never
learns
had it
one.
before.
What you do is you put it into a water bottle, and then your mind thinks that it's water, so it's fine.
Problem is the
So-
taste buds don't.
There's so much historical evidence to the contrary. Like,
I don't know, man.
Oh, slight topic change, but it's still about alcohol. So everyone knows Wally Juice, right?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So people that are watching, Wally Juice is it's Everclear water and sugar-free. What are those packets
Splenda?
called?
Crystal
no,
Light.
No, it's Crystal Light.
Crystal
that's what it
Light,
was.
Crystal Light, and ice, and it's mixed in a certain proportion and stuff like that. And he was really the one that brought it to the Northwest, and we credit him for inventing it like 10, 15 years ago.
Mhm.
And basically, when he turned 21, he made it.
He used to make them
Yeah,
in the
there's-
big igloo, the big whole container.
Oh yeah, I remember there was Down with the Crown. I haven't had that in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have that memorized. Ursa gave me the recipe at one point, but
Yeah, we're actually talking about bringing some of that back, uh, getting some of the old mixes together and pairing them with certain individuals.
that would be good. I would enjoy some down with the crown. So I read an article that now the kids are doing this thing where they fill up a jug of or a jug of water in alcohol, and it's basically just fucking Wally juice, and that's the new craze. And people are like, "Oh my god, they're walking around with a gallon of alcohol, and it's like a dangerous and stuff like that." It's like Wally started a trend. It's like popular in colleges now or something. It's like I don't think he really started it, but it's just that was funny to me when I saw that.
Yeah, they call them Borgs.
Yeah, that's
B-O-R-G.
what it was.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't remember what it stands for, but yeah. I don't know. It's just
I-
another.
big old gallon. I don't know.
I think it's a stretch to assume that anyone is bringing anything new to the college scene in regards to drinking anything and it being contained in anything per se. But so is it just like a straight alcohol and water and it's basically the same mixture? I'd be interested to know what type of alcohol it is that they're mixing it with.
Oh, with them, it's just any kind of alcohol. Honestly, some people use rum and stuff like that. But one of the examples was vodka and Crystal Light. So
Light.
it was like,
Gotcha.
yeah, like in Shaden, for example, he makes Wally juice all the time, but he rarely ever mixes it like Wally did, and it's always usually strong, so you taste the alcohol a little bit. Usually, he makes the squires do it lately. They don't know the recipe. They think they do, but they don't. But yes, Wally once showed me how to make it. I don't remember how to make it. I don't remember the exact proportions, but it's like 3 gallons of alcohol. It's crazy.
Mhm.
We have a company mate who makes it all the time. Odin, he knows how to make it. He used to make it for the Templars.
Yeah, he didn't make it right either. I'm sorry to say.
Oh no. I remember I was at a camp out, and I'm pretty sure I was there for the precursor to Wally Juice, because he came up and he was sharing alcohol with us, and it was Everclear and 0 calorie Gatorade or Powerade. I mean, like the blue like 0 calorie Powerade. And then I think from there he came up with the Wally Juice thing. Because I was like, dude, that
Oh,
was so long ago.
yeah. So I was going to make a black and tan, and then I filled up my glass all the way with beer. So that doesn't help.
I went to a bar one time and I ordered a Irish car bomb, and the bartender didn't know how to make it. So I told her, I was like, "Oh, it's just." I told her like, it was the what Jameson and Bailey's, and then Guinness. So she just filled the glass all the way up with Guinness. I was like, "What do you want me to do with this?" Like,
Oh no.
Oh
I
no.
just had to drink it half down and then do the shot. And, yeah.
So speaking of drinking and Amtgard, so I know that everyone kind of has their go-to drinks, and then there's those drinks that, like for me, there's certain drinks that just make me pissed off immediately, which I really enjoy for like, oh hey, we're gonna go ditch and it's 11:30 at night. Okay, give me sippies. Um, but like my man at arms, way back in the day. Like this was my first or second event where I could drink, and he's like, "Oh man, I got some great stuff for you," and he mixed gin and Gatorade. And
That sounds terrible.
it was, it was awful, and I had been fighting for like 5 hours or something like that at the time. He was like, "Oh yeah, it'll rehydrate and it'll give you a good buzz." Nah. So as far as you guys go, like, are there the drinks that like are your go-to? You know, if someone brings you some, you'll be like, "Thank you, I appreciate you," or are there drinks that you say, "Oh, you shouldn't have," like, you really shouldn't have?
So for me nowadays, my go-to drink is just beer. Generally speaking, if I'm going to Amtgard and I want to get crunk, I drink natty ice because it has a higher alcohol content and it's still really cheap. Drinks I will not drink generally is a cheap or mid-shelf tequila because I just had bad experience throwing up with it. So it's ugh. Some nice tequila is okay. There's some okay tequila that I can stomach, but the cheap stuff is just too much bite, and that's one you really shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm. What
So,
about you?
oh, sorry.
No, what about you, Wormus?
I would say so I'm a diabetic, so anything like the zero sugar stuff, I do have like Truly, the Trulies and the seltzers and stuff. Uh, Beyond that, I'm a big fan of anything fruity, which is the exact opposite of the sugar-free stuff. But the thing I would say, like as far as like stuff that I don't want brought to me, like anything with Jaeger or Fireball, I can't do.
Okay.
And then anything that's already in somebody else's cup, like
Mm-hmm.
I've actively gotten away from sipping off of anyone else's drink.
You've been around enough Amtgarders to know you don't want to
Yeah.
share glasses with them.
Yeah, it's like anything you can put into my cup, I'm probably okay with, but
Fair enough.
My black and tan is not the best, but it's okay. Poured it too fast. What about you there, Talius?
I don't drink beer. Other than that, I'll pretty much drink whatever.
what about tequila?
You know I'll drink it. It
Just
doesn't
you
ever
don't
end
like it.
well. It's fucking awful. Tequila is like the only thing that I ever get hungover on.
Mm.
Oh, we have our first chat. Emily says, proper St. Patty's Day stream, Amtgard drinking. Yep. To be fair, we drank a little bit on the stream every time, but it's St. Patrick's Day. I'm drinking a little bit extra, and yeah.
I got my green cup.
Hells yeah.
I
Smart.
got my green bib.
I've got a box of Thin Mints.
That's the most Irish thing of the stream.
Requiem, what's your drink of choice?
My drink of choice. Am I fighting or am I crafting?
Well, it's a
Crafting.
camp out, so probably fighting, right?
Fighting. Okay. So Friday night I always make a drink. It's a creamsicle. And it's a whipped vodka mixed with orange juice and pineapple juice, or sometimes I'll use mango nectar. There's another variation of that called Oh Shit, and the reason why we named it that is the side effect is waking up like, oh shit, what happened? But that's the drink that I enjoy because I can still function really well with vodka because it doesn't really get me drunk, but it just gets me that drunk enough to where I forget that I have anxiety, and so I can actually have full on conversations. I'm like, Asa, no, I left him back home. Like Requiem, no, I'm Requiem right now. No, we're chatting, we're friends, we're having a good time. And so that's definitely my drink of choice for. I've arrived. I've made it. Mundania is behind us. Let's look forward to the weekend. And then my jugging drink is probably tequila. Just because sometimes I gotta get a little spicy. But
If you like Dreamsicle, this isn't as advanced as your drink, but I've found that if you mix spiced rum and specifically Sunny Delight, it actually tastes like a creamsicle.
Huh.
I'll have to try that.
Not orange juice. I mean, it still tastes good, but it's not the same as with the Sunny D.
Do you know if they still sell Tang? Is Tang a thing anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to make this drink. It's awful, and I don't suggest it for anybody. But I would mix Sunny D, Monster, and vodka together. So...
That sounds rough.
Oh shit.
Oh, Emily is bidding you, Unum, to bring some Thin Mints to Park tomorrow. Emily is B. She asked very nicely.
I will not be at park tomorrow, unfortunately.
What?
Yeah.
What the
Yeah.
fuck, Unum?
We're about to. We leave on Sunday to go to Las Vegas for a few days. So
Oh, that's right.
yeah,
Fair enough.
and Heather
Fine.
and Heather just got back this afternoon from another trip. So
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A lot of trips.
I
Yep.
spent time with your wife then. Jesus Christ.
Well, you could do both. You know, go say hi to Terra de Votum for me.
What?
What?
Terra de Votum is the holding down in Las Vegas.
Oh,
I used to go down there when I was taking flights and stuff back and forth from Texas and whatnot, and I'd cause my layover to be a little bit longer. I'd go play Amtgard. It's my favorite thing because I would go there every couple of years and show up and like, oh, this looks like a cool game. Can I play? You have to go
Play
out of
the
kingdom
meme.
for that. Yep. You have to go out of kingdom for that stuff anymore.
Right.
Yeah. I'm actually getting to go to Vegas. It's not Amtgard related, but Locke, who some of us know, is an ESO streamer, and they're on the stream team, and they got tickets to go to a ESO event in Las Vegas. So I got to be their +1. So yeah, I gotta go do that, and I've never done any ESO stuff, so it'll be kind of fun.
That's dope.
So we'll be Vegas buddies, Unum.
Wait, this weekend?
No,
Oh.
not at the same time.
I'm about to buy a ticket to Vegas right now.
Is it your first time to Vegas, Baelnorn?
No. Last November was my first time to Vegas.
Okay, because I was gonna warn you about the card smackers after sundown. If you've been to, if you know, you know.
Actually, I don't know what's a card smacker.
So those are the individuals that are providing services, and they do the snapping with the business cards that are kind of one of those collect them all. They look like pinup
Oh,
wearing less. Hey, if you know,
I
you know.
gotcha. Got it. I did see at least one person doing that.
Yeah, the first time I was at Vegas, I was on my honeymoon, and that's when I learned. Didn't work out so well.
What's
Wow.
that face?
Oh, I just discovered that more raspberry lemonade was not the answer. Now I just have more to drink.
Oh no. So Unum, we didn't hear from you. What is your go-to drink?
Typically, yeah, I've been on the Trulies thing for a little bit because I haven't been. It doesn't give me a hangover like at all. So I've been in also the Church of Vodka. They've turned me away from my sinful Mike's Hard Lemonade ways.
Don't you lie. Don't you even lie. I'm pretty sure last
kidding.
NLCC we had it together.
Hey, I'm not a holy man.
The sacrilege.
Yeah, but if I'm drinking beer, I actually enjoy the Coors Banquet. Like for some reason that just hits the right spot. But as far as like mixed drinks, I'm pretty much go for anything except for like Jaeger stuff is not really a big fan of that. Whatever that drink is that people make, I think it was I don't know if it was Voden or someone. It's called like Moose something or Caribou or
Oh,
Caribou
Caribou
Lou.
Lou.
Caribou Lou.
yeah.
How do you not like Caribou Lou?
No, I do.
Oh, okay.
Like
If you want the
anything
recipe,
that
I'll
has,
send you the song.
oh yeah, anything that has orange in it, like I'm sold. I love it. So
Yeah, Caribou Lou is pretty good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you not drink? Oh, you said that already. Jaeger.
yeah, I'm not a big fan of Jaeger. I've still working back into liking cider again. I had bad experience with cider and Kraken a while back.
Yeah.
But I've had Kraken since in mixed drinks, so it's not so bad anymore.
One of
So-
the
There's-
oh sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No, you
I
first.
was gonna say one of the first times me and Una met, he had a bottle of Kraken that he was very willing to share, but unfortunately nobody really wanted any, so he just drank the whole fucking thing himself.
Oh
not the whole thing, half of that, and it was a whole thing of apple cider before that.
Right.
Like a big thing of it. Yeah, rough.
That was funny.
Speaking of like apple cider type drinks, Rosewood with all the different flavors of apple pie. Oh man.
I do like apple pie. That stuff's good.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Emily says that Unum is a classic fan of screwdrivers and that they need to have brunch with Unum for mimosas.
I'm down.
Yeah.
I love brunch and mimosa.
I actually had bottomless mimosa brunch at the Irish pub in Las Vegas, the Nine Brothers or something like that. And like I ended up having like 10 different mimosas. The barmaid did not enjoy how many times I refilled. But I was toasty by the end of that brunch. It was great.
You got your money's worth.
I did.
When
Some
you say
mimosas are
endless, I mean.
You drank until it was brafternoon.
Yeah, it was 2 hours unlimited, and we sat there for 2 hours. So
Keep it coming. That's funny.
thank you, Emily. I think it was very classy. I agree. It ended though when my person that was with me, Riley, when I went to the bathroom, they need like a bubble around them because they're just moving around. They ended up knocking over my mimosa and breaking the glass. It would have went all over me because it like landed in my seat and everything.
Tragic.
Yeah, it was. So speaking of drinking in Amtgard, we have NLCC coming up next weekend. I think Requiem, you're going to that, right?
Well, now that the surprise has been broken, yes, I'm going up there.
Okay, then we're all going to be there. And then there's Mezek is doing his vigil, and the last time I heard or I talked to them, they're going to be doing a wizard staff tournament for their vigil. And so I challenge all of you to a game of wizard staff.
I will stick with the magic wand. Beer is
That's
one of
okay.
those ones that I do not do well.
I just
Hard
drink
liquor.
the Trulies.
Stick with
Warlock.
Trulies.
Like Warlock. Like hard alcohol, I can handle just fine. Beer messes me up. I don't know why.
It's because it tastes bad.
You have to get the right beer. There's a
No.
lot of beer that tastes bad. There's beer that tastes good.
No, we spend like our late teens and like early adulthood learning how to lie about beer being good.
Yeah.
Like that's all it is.
I just refuse. I won't be part of the system.
See, like I don't necessarily mind the taste. It's just a different kind of alcohol to me.
Mm.
The thing is I think it's the way that my, like, not to get too technical, whatever, but the way that my body breaks it down is different than the hard alcohol. And so when it hits my stream, it's just like, I don't know. I can drink whiskey or vodka or whatever and be totally fine and chill. Give me a cider. Like give me give me one of those regular ciders and I'm done.
Oh wow.
I don't normally do wizard staff, but I'll do it for Medzek.
All right. So Emily's asking what this wizard game is. So effectively, you drink a beer or whatever is in a can. You can't use glasses. Once you finish your first beer, you put on top another beer on top of that, duct tape it, and therefore you've reached level 1 as a wizard because you finished your first beer. You're on your second. You drink that beer, then you're on a second level. Attach the next beer. And you create a staff out of beer cans, and you have to drink from it. It's a interesting game when you get to the higher levels, I think. And we actually in Amtgard, no one's really written down the rules and played by them. It's all been just rumors and like tradition. We actually have rules that we're going to be using for the Wizard Staff tournament at NLCC. We've created a household for it, and we're going to keep track of wizard names and the Wizard Council and. Yeah, it's going to be a whole, like, drunken RP thing.
My wizard name is Oramus.
I support it.
You guys doing the boss battles or whatever, where it's the one shot in between each 5 levels or something like that?
That is up to Mezdek. It is one of the optional rules in the document that I made. So it's possible. They haven't responded to my message about that yet.
You should contact the V9 team and see if you could get the universal wizard staff rules added to the rulebook.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Nationwide, baby.
Word.
This is a family friendly game. Also, drinking game.
It's friendly. It's only beer. That sounds dangerous. Emily says that's awesome. Honestly, though, that sounds dangerous with anything other than beer. Yeah, it can be. It also depends on the beer. There's strategies. Honestly, if you really want to get into the competitive nature of it, if you're competitive about it, it's more of an endurance game than it is drinking lots of alcohol. It's drinking lots of alcohol over a long time, and that's how you win. That's how my highest level is like level 25, and that's because I did it over a whole entire night, not just because I just banged them out really fast to get a big staff. But yeah, if you use and especially if you use high alcohol content beers, that's a problem. I usually stick with Rainier, or if we're feeling a little adventurous, Natty Ice. I messed up my screens.
Oh no.
Oh, there we go. I brought up the rules that I wrote in case I was going to read them out. Oh, yeah. So because I kind of modeled this after Chaos Wars. I don't know if anyone has heard of Chaos Wars. It's a Belgarth event out in Idaho. They have a Wizard Staff tournament. And there's different levels. I kind of made up the levels for this, but the first level is Neophyte. Level 4 is Acolyte. Level 7 is Adept. Level 10, you're finally a Wizard. Level 15, you're an Eldo Wizard. And level 20, you're an Arch Wizard.
Nice.
Yeah,
Level 50,
and
you're a
there's...
lich.
Yeah,
well,
you're fucking
definitely dead. And I think in the...
Elbow Wizard?
Elbow Wizard?
Is that what you said?
How many you let me guess, you're like 2 of those Trulies in right now. This
No, I took Heather forced me to take an edible.
Oh,
Candy.
Oh, nice.
It's gonna
How
be
many
one hell of a night.
milligrams?
I was wondering why you were so happy.
Down, shoved it in his mouth. I definitely did that.
We don't need to know about your sex life.
Oh my god.
How many milligrams was the edible?
Like 60 or 70.
Oof.
No,
Is that
just kidding.
You have a big endurance because
Is
if
that a
not,
lot?
you're fucked.
Oh, I'm a newbie to it.
Hmm.
I don't do drugs.
Yeah, you do right now.
Well, just yeah.
You can't say that anymore.
There is a time like I've I should say for TOS reasons that the people that live in the areas that are here, it's all legal, so it's not against TOS because it's legal here. Um, but yeah, like my weed habits have gone down a lot because I was having like 2 edibles like 5 or 100 milligrams a day, something like that. I have a giant box. There's these edibles locally called drops, and there is little tiny tin containers, and we just have a whole bunch of them. We were playing with them on the table and making structures out of them. There must be at least 50 or 60 of them. Now I do a dab a day, maybe it's a lot less.
See, I'm messed up, and this is kind of outside of Amtgard, but my first thought is like as a dungeon master for Dungeons and Dragons, just making those like the monsters that the players have to fight, and like if you kill it, if you get the last hit, okay, here you go, you have to take it.
Well, I never thought about making it a weed game, but I definitely
Man,
thought
that
about
sounds
using them as
great.
miniatures because I don't have any miniatures.
And then at the end, instead of a boss battle, it's a puzzle that they have to solve to get out.
Oh man, that's more dangerous than a fucking dragon.
What's like? So I don't do edibles. What's like a normal amount? Like as far as milligrams go, like is 60 a lot?
Usually it's about 25, 30, I think.
Oh, okay.
Mine,
And that'll get you.
mine was like 10 or something. So
A normal edible is
very
like
small.
10.
Oh, is it
Yeah,
like
yeah.
10? Okay, well,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I was lying earlier.
That's okay. It's okay. You're high.
Yeah.
It hasn't kicked anything up there's nobody. Is it?
But like, it's really funny. Like, I've only been doing it for like since the beginning of the pandemic. I never had weed before, so it was fun. It took a while because like it doesn't. I don't really get high off of like flour very much. Like if I smoke a lot, maybe I do. But I started with measuring out milligrams and taking RSO, like the oil stuff or the concentrate, so I could like scientifically measure how much it takes me to get high, and that was an experience. But yeah, it's only been a couple years. I think the most I ever had at once was 160.
Jesus.
I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
Generally, it's been a pretty good time, but I've had some like down too high experiences, so nothing dangerous. Though.
Asa, you mentioned the Dungeons and Dragons. Are you gonna go see the movie?
I'm kind of mixed about it. Like the last 3 movies that I've went to see, I've went to look at like the armor designs and like the background pieces and stuff like that. Like I don't even remember the movie. I'm just I'm that weirdo that takes my sketchbook to the movie theater with a little
Hmm.
So I actually haven't seen that much about it. I'm fairly new into D&D. I've only been
No.
DMing for like 2-3 years. And so I'm still a baby. My squire actually was took me through my first D&D campaign, and I was bawling my eyes out by the end of it, and I'm like,
Oh wow.
so this is why people play this game. This is amazing. And so ever since then I was like, man, can I make people feel like that? Like the find the connection and all that stuff. And it was like I've never been one with like words with like writing them down. But if I can I've always been like imaginative, like I got stuff going on in my head all the time. And if I can describe it to somebody, in a way that takes them there and they can see it, and then they can interact with it. They can make it tangible to them. Like, to me, that's what the definition of art is. Doesn't have to be drawing, doesn't have to be cooking, doesn't have to be music. If you can take a feeling or something, an idea inside your head, and you can make it mean something to somebody else, congratulations, you're an artist, you know? And
It's a good
so,
definition.
like, if this D&D movie brings people into finding a home game or a local group or something like that, that they can create their own D&D movie with, then awesome. It's another catalyst that can do the thing. If they do the M Night Shyamalama Ding Dong version of Airbender, then no, I'm not excited in the slightest.
I still like the. I think I'm the only person who liked it. With the old D&D movie where it was had like Jeremy Irons as the main bad guy and
Oh,
Dame
Yeah, you're the only
Marlon
one.
Wayans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Were you playing D&D at the time?
No, I don't think I was. I was
That's an
younger.
idiot.
I didn't play D&D till I was older. I
what
was like 17.
does everyone here play D&D?
I think so.
Just started.
Okay,
I
class.
love it so far. So,
Class, what are you? I'm going to judge you now.
can you guess?
I would think of like a half giant blacksmith to but that's just because I know you.
That's fair. No. Warlock.
Okay.
Tiefling Warlock.
But I'm a human barbarian.
Okay.
So basic.
What about you, bud?
You knock it off back there.
I mostly just DM. I'm actually DMing the campaign that they're both in.
Okay, so what is your favorite monster to throw at them then?
Goblins.
Or is it one goblins? Okay. Okay. All right, and Baelnorn, what flavor of gnome are you playing today?
The last time I played D&D, because normally I game master, I played I can't ever pronounce their name, but a deep gnome, a Duragar or whatever it's called.
Duragar.
Yeah. That's what I played. I played a Hexblade.
Okay.
Not a Hexblade. Eldritch Knight. There we go. Hexblade wasn't out yet. It's been a long time since I played D&D. Last game I played though was Exalted, but that's something different.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's
I'm actually
amazing. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no. Go ahead with your thought.
Oh, I was just saying how amazing it is to me that there's so many crossovers between these social groups with interests and stuff like that. Like, I can talk to people out at the park, and I'm telling it's like, you ever play D&D? It's like that in real life. Like, but we get to go to work on Monday. You know, because they ask, you know, like about the different about like the different spells and different classes and stuff like that. And I think it's really cool, like, because again, I've been in this game for a long time, and yet I only just started playing D&D a few years ago. You know, for most people that I've talked to ever, it's been like they started with D&D and then they moved to Amtgard, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found it interesting from the other side of that lens.
I started D&D when I was 15. I started Amtgard about when I was 16. And Bombus brings up a good point. Durgar is the underground dwarf. I'm thinking of. I can never say it right. This is why I didn't say it right.
It's
Yeah, I call it Severed Nipple. And I can never pronounce it right.
I like that name way more.
Luckily, they changed it to just calling it Deep Gnome now. Because I think the Severed Nipple, or however you say it, was a Forgotten Realms specific. gnome. I could be
Yeah.
incorrect about that.
No, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. I was really big into a lot of the Forgotten Realms books when I was younger.
Mm.
Nerd.
Hell yeah, dude. I started out with Dragonlance books, and that's how I got into fantasy at all when I was in high school, and all I wanted to do was skateboard.
You could have been so cool.
I know, but then I read these Dragonlance books, and it just ruined it. And now here
Is
I
that
am.
what? Is that what happens when a jock reads a book?
Kind of. So it was Dragonlance that really got me into it. Before that, though, I read all the Lord of the Rings books, but it was for like you had to like if you read enough pages of books, you got like free tickets to like an amusement park that was near my hometown. So I read
Oh,
the Lord of
nice.
the Rings books because there was a bunch of pages.
Yes, there are.
And then it was like, this is cool, I guess. And then like my mom had all the Dragonlance books, so I stole those from her and read them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Taking it back a little bit, Emily was posting in chat that they're talking with Talius on the side, and they're talking about using Twisted Tea in the Wizard game. Absolutely, but they only come in a giant bottle or a giant can, and each one can, no matter the size, is still only one level. So you're welcome to do that.
They come in smaller cans.
Oh, do they? I've only seen them in like the 24 ounces or the
They
16
come
ounces
in like
or whatever.
little like soda can size.
Oh, okay. I would recommend that if you're gonna do wizard staff.
that's
Oh,
like
and you're also in their D&D game. Cool.
yeah. The last stream we had, I technically only had 3 drinks, but 2 of them were those super tall cans, and one of them was a bottle of wine. So
Yeah, we had a good last half an hour.
oh my god, I didn't remember it. Like you were like sending
really?
me. Oh yeah, you were sending me video clips. Like oh shit, whoopsies.
I don't think you said anything too controversial, but I understand
Nice.
why you didn't want me to highlight them.
Yeah.
I was,
I was like, if
We
people
ended up-
want to hear that stance from me, they can dig through 3 hours of video.
It's good for the watch hours.
Yeah, there you go.
We ended up talking. We talked night stuff at the end of the stream, and while we skirted the CLK quiet or secrecy line. We stayed very broad. We didn't talk about specific people, but we talked about our opinions of that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I've definitely got a hot take when we get to that point.
Nice. It's coming. It comes every stream, so
yeah, as long as you're here for the long haul, by the last hour.
Well, I'm already 4 drinks in, so I'm.
I might have before the last hour then. I'm finishing my third beer now. So.
These are little baby drinks.
Well, that's okay. It's liquor.
1 shot of whiskey. Go.
A little side topic that has nothing to do with Amtgard or D&D, but has anyone other than me got into the Diablo 4 beta?
I haven't tried.
Oh, okay.
didn't
So
know
yeah, it's this weekend and next weekend, and because next week is an LCC, I wasn't going to be able to play the open beta because the first week you had to pre-purchase the game, and I wasn't going to pre-purchase the game.
Yeah.
But the second week you don't have to. But they were doing a promotion with KFC, where if you order a sandwich or a double down or whatever it's called, you get a free access to the paid beta. So I played a little bit of Diablo 4 today, and that was kind of fun. It's like hour-long queue to get in, but yeah, and I just hear it coming through the house because my brother has his sound up and he's playing it too. So it's like ever in my mind, like I'm not gonna be able to play it tonight because I'm just gonna have fun after stream. But tomorrow, I'm gonna get into it.
Nice.
So, but since no one else is playing it, then we can't play together.
Sorry, buddy.
It's okay. Not everyone wants KFC.
I love KFC.
They're pretty good chicken.
Yeah.
They're not the best, but they're a good staple.
Yeah.
For fast food.
KFC is dope.
Yeah.
I don't know what they sell other than biscuits, though.
Mashed potatoes and gravy.
That's
Chicken.
fair. That's fair.
You know, All right, so talking about feast a little bit here for a second. Mashed potatoes and gravy from KFC is obviously very processed. And I found, but people still love it. So I found that at Feast, I always do instant mashed potatoes. It's I don't know if it's cheaper, but it's still cheap. It's faster. It's easier, and people like it just as much as far as I have experienced. So just thinking about it, like everyone loves that fast food KFC mashed potatoes. Like, why not at a feast not make your own mashed potatoes because it's a lot of work. Just do instant, and people, I don't know, people clown on that a little bit. And I'm a big proponent of it. It's so much more time saving than mashing 100 persons worth of mashed potatoes and cooking them, and it's insane.
It's just gotta taste good and be filling, and if it's during the day, have carbs for you to burn on the field.
And be fully cooked.
Well,
Yeah.
and not make you sick, but that's definitely
I'd
Big-
take 2
big
out of 3.
2 out of 3.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And like when I make it, I add milk obviously instead of water. The recipe, the brand I usually buy usually calls for milk, so that's a good start. I put in butter, and I also season it. Not everyone seasons their mashed potatoes correctly. So if you do those things and it's instant, I see no reason why you would want to mash your own mashed potatoes for a large feast. It's just insane to me.
It's period correct.
They didn't have mashed potatoes. They probably had some kind of mash group, but I don't think it was potatoes. So Critias is trying to join us. That is why there is a blank corner here with a. There he is.
Hey, it was good, bro.
Hello.
How's it going?
So
Better
because
now that
Critias
you're
wasn't
here.
here for. Sorry, what?
Oh, better now that you're here.
So if because Critias wasn't able to make it for sound check, if their sound is too low, if you're listening, let me know and I will adjust the sound appropriately. If it's fine, that's great. But I just wanted to throw that out there for the people that are listening. I'm willing to change settings if someone is too quiet or too
yeah,
loud.
Emily.
We actually have more than just Emily listening. Emily is one of the only people chatting.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with just people listening. You don't have to chat. That's fine.
We'll have to rename the stream title from the 4 beards to the 5 beards.
Well, Callius has something that's fur under his shin.
True. It's true.
That's fine. Oh, and Barnabas says, I'm just here to make corrections. This is Kulos? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right.
Oh, it's good. That's one of the guys from Northern Lights. He's from our
Night
Oh,
party.
okay.
Fires Company has got viewing party of 7. What's up,
Oh,
yo?
nice. Well, thank you for everyone chiming in and saying that you're watching. I really like to know. I appreciate everyone tuning in, and it's nice to know that you're here with us.
I need the constant reminder that people are watching, so I watch what I say.
That's good. Oh, Emily wanted you to do something there, Unum. I don't know if you saw that. Unum has to do the Zool D&D voice for everyone. You are the orc, now you're
Oh.
Zool.
All right. I am Zool, a 200-year-old warlock. And I'm ripped. I have a lot of muscles, though, because I'm evil. Not really. I'm not that evil.
Dude. Don't even.
I'm just a
That's pretty good.
little evil sometimes.
Just a little. Dude, it's honestly so much fun because like I played D&D for like a lot, but like years ago, and so it's fun because we have a bunch of people who are like really new to it in the game now. And it's just a lot of fun because like such stuff happens. Like we went to a town, and I was like, everyone should buy a horse. And Unum's like, we're talking about what you're allowed to buy, and Tyler's like, oh, it's a big city, pretty much anything in the book. And Unum's like, I bought an elephant. We're like, wait, what? And he's like, I bought an elephant. So now our party has a fucking elephant that he rides around on.
As he
That's
should.
awesome.
Yeah.
As he should.
What race is your character or species?
Tiefling.
Okay.
But he's
That's
only
good.
like 4 feet tall.
Oh, really? Okay. There we go. So Critias, were you drinking anything tonight for our St. Patrick's Day stream?
Excuse me. No, I just didn't have time. I've had a very hectic night, so I'm glad to be here though. I didn't think I was gonna actually make it.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're able to make it.
I'll drink another one for you, brother.
Thank you.
I got you.
We were talking a little bit earlier about drinking at Amtgard, and of course, you came up in your most excellent vigil.
Only
and
positive
your nighting.
things.
Only positive things. It's like, I mean, you busted out a whole night in 2 hours. It was awesome. It's like, if I only had that kind of brevity, I could sleep well at night. Yeah.
It hit me a lot harder and a lot quicker than I thought it would. But yeah, that was an experience.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a little bit about NLCC earlier. Last time I heard you might be going.
I should be going. As far as I know, like as it's planned right now, I'm going.
Yeah.
I'll answer that when they come around to it. But no, he is not.
Wait, what?
Well, I'm glad you'll make it. We're talking about doing beer wizard staff for a Medzex vigil. You want to join in?
I don't know.
I don't think you've played that game, have you?
No, but I've seen it played. I don't know though. After this last like blackout drunk, I don't know if I can drink for a while. That
That's
kind of
fair.
did me in for a good amount of time.
On the plus side, it's just beer.
Yeah.
Not
He
ever
believes in
clear.
efficiency. He gets the whole year's worth of drinking done in one night. And no, he's not back there licking leather. He has a bunch of calluses on his hands, so he can't really feel it. But his lips are super sensitive, and so he can feel like where it needs more burnishing and stuff like that. So
Oh, that
no,
makes sense.
this is a house of multiple serpent knights. There's crafting happening all the time. So.
You live with multiple serpent knights?
Well, I mean, me and Kat live here. Plus, we're teaching 2 up-and-coming artisans. They've been in the game around a year now, and they're over halfway.
Oh,
So,
nice.
Yeah. Tara Redgrave, also known as Kath's mom. She does beautiful paintings on stone. She does crystal and slabs and stuff like that, and her painting ability is beyond that of my own. And so she's well on her way. And then I got this guy started up with leather, and because he's an engineer that has finally allowed himself to be creative, and so he is enjoying it, and enjoying it the way that an engineer does, by making sure that everything is square and measured exactly. And his stuff has really been showing. I've been very proud of him. And so, like on his time off, he could be doing whatever, and he's down here crafting for Amtgard. So I'm just, yeah.
So I think Kat's mom had some entries in Winter Bash.
Yeah, she was in Winter Bash, Dragon Master. She's done a couple of other competitions. Like I said, she's been coming out for about a year. They've been around Amtgard since Kat started when she was, but I think since their kids grew up, they started like actually coming out and start doing like, oh hey, this is actually something that we could participate in. Like, it's not intruding on your thing. Like, there's actually enough room for us to find. Oh wait, you can shoot a bow at people, or oh you can paint at rocks. You don't have to fight. And as soon as they found their own little niches in this game, which is why I love it so much, they really just started taking off. And so yeah, I'm
Yeah,
super.
there's a lot you can do in Amtgard.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you like doing a thing? Welcome to Amtgard.
I was on a Locke is currently doing a subathon on Twitch for Virgil, their dog, because they have a degenerative nerve disorder in their back legs, so they don't get to use them. So subathon is where you stay online for a long time based on the amount of subs, donations, bits that you get, and so they have been on for 11 days, and they sleep on stream, and they have another 10 days left, I think, at least, unless people donate more money. And I get to go over there like once a week and hang out on stream while they do some chores around the house and stuff. So last time, which was Wednesday, I think, I ended up doing a lot of Amtgard talk and exposing a lot of their community to LARP. And people were like, well, I didn't realize there's that much stuff you can do in Amtgard. Because I was going over the combat battle games, the award system, and all the arts and crafts and stuff like that. Showed off Ormus's interview on the stream and talked about the award system through the lens of Ormus's eyes.
Did I say anything stupid?
Probably.
No. I did that stupid.
Oh, nice. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta make everyone on my stream look good. So.
Nice. I appreciate it.
Yeah. You're welcome.
And you edit me to have a beard.
Done.
I'm just picturing like a crappy like TikTok filter of just like this beard just following his movements around, like looking
I
like
was
Santa.
thinking more like MS Paint.
Oh wow.
Just like static in the middle of the screen, and sometimes it lines up.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could do that. You didn't move that much. I could just put a little beard image over your face.
There you go.
Just Photoshop my beard onto him, and
Oh, there we go.
I'm not greedy. I can share.
Yeah, everyone who's watching right now has to go back and watch the entire thing again after it's edited so they can see Talius with a beard.
That's too much work for the lols. I'm sorry.
So, quick question for you, Crit, since you kind of came in late and we already talked about NLCC coming up. Are you making it up to NLCC? Are you looking forward to it? So on and so forth. I think that's what, next week? Next
Mhm.
weekend?
If everything goes right, yeah, I'll definitely be there. As it is right now, I plan to be there. So just as long as everything goes well, which as far as I know it should. So
Awesome.
Is there anything you're looking forward to at NLCC specifically?
I actually haven't looked much at the schedule of what's going on. I do know that I think it's Kimjin and Miller are getting knighted.
Yep.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm super excited for that. That'll be cool. It'll be the first like knightings that I can stand at where I don't have to use someone to support me.
Oh yeah.
So
Well,
that'll be cool.
here's hoping that you don't break yourself in the.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm gonna actively try to get you so drunk that your first nightings that you get to stand at, you have to have somebody help you.
It'd be in my character.
Yeah, I
we have
think
video evidence of that.
I think Kimjin's on Friday and Miller's on Saturday.
Sweet.
When's Bezdek?
Saturday morning, I think.
Saturday morning. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kismet started this weird thing called brunch nightings. This will be the second one, where it's like 11 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, it's fine. Gets people
It's
up,
cool
right?
though. Yeah, and it splits it up. Like I hate you don't want to do it all back to back, right? So it's good to kind of break them up.
Yeah, if you can. And there's so many nines right now. It's the backlog, and it's just a giant list, at least for Black Spire. Still, we talked about this last stream, and so just trying to find ways to get people to do the nightings in such a way that it still feels like it's of importance and visible to the kingdom. So, like at Winterbash, we had 4 nightings, I think. And some of them were joint nightings. One of them was joint nightings with Critias and Vaughn. But yeah, it's. And I think Northern Lights also had a backlog, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'd say we probably have about 10 people that are approved, maybe more. I don't know. It's there's some that have been approved for a long time, mostly like second belts and stuff like that. Like there's at least one knight who's had a second belt approved for like probably close to 10 years.
Oof,
But
that's a while.
I think it says more about the candidate than it does the backlog. But
My sword
Yeah.
knight belt. I just don't want to do it yet.
your sword knight belt.
So, so I'm curious, is Northern Lights in a mindset where knightings only should happen at campouts? Or is it like a knighting could happen, for example, at a kingdom level event at the home park of the player, so on and so forth?
With the number of knightings that have been happening, we've had it's become more common to see them at their home parks, and normally it's at a KLE. I don't think I've seen one that wasn't at a KLE, but like it's normally like a KLE at their park, so it's like their local park that gets to see it. But
Right, that's what I meant to say. I appreciate that.
no, I think you did say it too, though. But like I got knighted at a KLE. Show got knighted again at a KLE. There's been a couple. There were a couple that were planned that got canceled too. But yeah, it's kind of
Yo,
they were more open to it now.
So Emily has a serious question. What do you guys feel about the double nightings and 2 belt nightings?
Serious question. Everyone take a drink.
Sure.
Here, I'll drink one for you, Crit. I got you.
I
Oh,
mean,
and
I'm
one of water because I'm a good boy.
personally, I'm perfectly fine with double nightings or 2 belt nightings. With the double nightings, it's I think it's more important that you ask the 2 people being knighted if they want to have a double knighting. If they want to have it, that's fine. If they don't want to have it, then I would want to acquiesce to their request and not have it a double knighting, even if it takes longer to get knighted. But that's my personal opinion. Oh, and double knighting or 2 belt knightings. Yeah, if they patch for both knighting or belts, just throw them all on them at once. Let's get over with.
So the double knighting, as far as like 2 people being knighted at the same time, like if they're super close and it makes sense or something like that, then I'm definitely I think it could be cool. The double belt knighting where it's like dropping 2 belts at once, I'm not as much of a fan of that, but I think they should happen, but I sort of see it as like a more of like a cool thing, like we're going above and beyond to show like this one person is super exceptional for one reason or another. Um, so like more of a surprise thing where it's like we're doing this. I don't know. I don't think it should be the norm, but I don't really have a problem with it, I guess.
The exception, not
Requiem,
the rule.
Yeah.
I think. Wait, did you have your hand up to answer this question?
Oh no, I was doing a death count because my peoples here in the proximity decided to assassinate me because some of the people watching the stream love me. I
How
see
rude.
you. Anyway,
Well, at least death comes from a place of love.
yes. So I'm gonna save most of this for my hot take at the end towards whole knighthood thing. But this is kind of a two-parter. Double knightings and two belt knightings. So double knightings, how many of you guys have gone down to clan or crowns or whatever it is they're calling it now? Okay, so just you.
Just me. Yep.
Okay. So the year that I went down there, there was, I think it was 11 knightings happening simultaneously.
Wow.
The few.
Just a couple.
That's wild.
So, like, I understand when there are certain times, like if it's someone's first belt, I understand the need to make it special, but at the same time, I'm also removed enough to say, is this my need or is this what they want? Um, am I doing this for my own ego because I feel a certain way about it, or is this the way that they actually to have their first knighting? There were people that may want to be there that may not be able to make it. Or whatever the reasons may be, is where the person that is being elevated, if they put off, then it might actually start pushing the calendar for those behind them if we're doing the whole one nighting per event like we used to back in the day. At the same time, there are those who, for example, those that work very well as a team and who have held hands together through their Amtgard career in whatever path it is, that I think it would be completely appropriate if one, two, three individuals, if they were a team, would be knighted at the same time, especially if it was on the same path for similar things, because it would mean more to the individual, than the person dropping the sword or the person that wearing the pointy hat that day. As far as like two belt knightings, if you qualify for knighthood and you qualify in multiple aspects, there really shouldn't be too much of a debate. Because if you have the knightly qualities and you have the experience and you have the know-how to be able to help somebody who is coming to you and asking questions about the particular path that you're on, then I don't really have much of an argument as to why. If it's two at the same time, like your first belt has got two stripes on it instead of one, cool. It means that a whole bunch of people didn't waste a bunch of time of stuff that you're not going to wear, for more than a year or two. As a crafter, I appreciate not wasting time. But again, it's kind of one of those, as they were saying, it's more situational. It's not really a one shoe fits all. But as far as knightings go, with how personal everyone can take every aspect of this game, the knighting should at least follow suit. Respectively.
Yeah. So, Frayden, Talius, do you have an opinion as the non-knight among us?
Yeah. I don't care at all.
Okay.
Well, I don't really see an issue. I just don't think there should be multiple paths of knighthood. Is like the thing. It should just be one knight and multiple ways to get there.
That would make things easier.
Isn't that similar to Bell?
I have no idea. But
Belgarth is, they just have a knight belt, and it's when they say they're a knight, and if people respect them as a knight, then they're a knight, and then if people don't respect them, then they're just a knight to themselves.
Yeah, then you just look like a jackass wearing a white belt. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. That's my understanding, anyways.
Yeah.
What do you think, Critias? You actually experienced both of these at the same event in the same hour. What do you think?
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
So, I don't really like whatever the person wants. That's what you should go with, really, as long as it doesn't interfere with like other things. That's I think that's the bottom line of it, because it's their accomplishment. So like, why wouldn't they get a say in how it kind of works? To an extent. You don't want to like step on anybody's toes doing that or whatever. But um, other than that, I don't really think it's an issue. I'm kind of like how Requiem said, like if you're if you have two masterhoods and you're approved for a knighthood of one of them, in my opinion, knighthood isn't a branched out thing. I mean, I like the idea of different ones because if one person wants to, say, walk the crown path, they can look at someone's belt and be like, that person has it. I can go talk to that guy.
We have belt favors that
That is true.
signify masterhoods, though.
That-
So
Yeah, you're correct. I was getting to that. I was gonna say like your thing works too because of that. So
yeah,
either way, it doesn't really matter. But anyway, if you're approved for one belt, but you have a different masterhood, what more do you have to prove? I guess to be a knight of that masterhood as well. Knighthood to me has always been like teaching and doing that kind of stuff. It didn't have anything to do with like skill. Masterhood was skill to me. Knighthood was teaching and passing on. That's how have always viewed it. So if you can teach both of what masters you have, why aren't you a knight type of thing? Like I think it does also have a little bit to do with character, but most people that teach also are decent people just in general. So I mean that just kind of goes hand in hand.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really have a big opinion on either of it. I think it's just whatever the person wants within reason should be what you really go with.
What do you think, Gunam?
I mean, I think they should be stripped of their belts.
All of them? Everyone?
everyone.
Anyone who participates in that kind of business, especially recently.
Wait.
That many McChickens and not offering us any, dude. Come on.
You guys
he
were free to
offered
come
plenty.
down.
He offered.
Dagar was here. Where were you guys?
Yeah, really. I got my McChicken.
Car
tell you
hit me in
what.
the leg, and I couldn't walk.
I could
That's
barely
okay.
walk, dude.
No one could walk. It was muddy. We
Uh,
waddled.
I'll tell you what, Unum. Like I lost 20 pounds on that new diet, Slim Slow, and then I went to his knighting, all undone, all undone.
Nah, I don't. It's whatever. It's cool. Doesn't bother me.
That's
All
fair.
right, Crit, this one's for you.
I'm excited to see y'all at LCC.
I'm excited to see all you too. And you, Unum, especially.
Yeah.
We're going to have the biggest wizard tournament.
Hey, Ormus, how do you feel about it?
Well, I
He
already
answered
went.
it already.
Oh,
Yeah,
did you
but-
already?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did.
I had
We
the
went
more
through the-
conservative answer.
Yeah. We did the gambit. Emily is weighing it. Ryan, I see your question about Nightings, and we'll get to that in a second. But Emily's is topical because they mentioned about Bell, so I figured we'd clarify that now. So Bell Knighthood is based on that knight within Bell. It depends on the priorities and standards of that knight. However, knights in Bell are closely linked to the fighting company that the knight is connected to. One of the things that they like about Bell Knighting is that it prioritizes a lot of different skills. So a good knight within Bell with a good belt line emphasizes service, war, teamwork, or teaming. I'm assuming teamwork, leadership, that embodies the values of the fighting company or beltline.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, that is a much more nuanced answer than they get to choose when they want to have it. So, and then Ryan Churchill, that's Moose, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's Moosey Poo.
Yeah, that's Moose. So what do y'all think about bringing back Ninja Nightings?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
Basically, a Ninja Knighting is they don't know that they're going to get knighted, and then everyone just springs it on them in court or wherever they're doing the knighting, and so the person is
awful.
theoretically not aware of it. I'm for it only in instances where we absolutely know that the person being knighted would want something like that. Otherwise, I would not think it is a good idea. But if they're really enthusiastic and everyone knows that their idea of the perfect knighting is in fact a ninja knighting, then try to have a ninja knighting if you can.
I think it'd
So what do
be.
you think?
I think it'd be because that was like sort of the old standard, where they tended to be surprises, but it was always like the worst kept secret. Like to be like, oh, it's a surprise, don't tell anyone, and that person knew 2 months ago. But
If I remember correctly, Wally actually was a ninja knighting, and they were not aware of it beforehand. A lock kept a bell at all times in case they passed the circle, and I think they passed the circle and got knighted the same day.
wow,
I could be misremembering.
Yes, like Canary's knighting.
Yeah, like Canary's. Yeah.
As well.
I remember weird instances of like awkward moments because of ninja knightings. Like my buddy was going to get knighted, and so they were like, hey, like they wanted to know if the belt was going to fit him. So like, hey, try this on. It's for somebody else. And everyone was like sitting there like, yeah, okay. Like he's the only one in the area that's qualified. Like that's definitely for him. But I don't know. Ninja Nightings can be fun, but I think the one thing you miss is it's hard to make sure everyone finds out about it that wants to be there and like wants to be involved and stuff like that. So I feel like the ceremonies have a chance to be less than, or people are going to miss out on it that didn't find out about it. Because if you're trying to keep it a secret, it's up to you to contact every person you think is important to them. But like, there's going to be people you don't know about. Like, so if you make a public announcement, everyone can see it and they can be like, "Oh, I want to be there." You know what I mean? So.
Or as Speaker of Knights, I'm going to say that if you guys want to fill out a break in case of knighting form, please do and send it to your local Speaker of Knights so that way we have that information.
Yeah, we have one of those too.
Shameless plug.
Not great about using it, but we have one.
Doesn't mean we'll use it, but here's for hoping. Yeah. Enjoy your knighting. Here you are.
So I'm kind of curious about Talius's opinion on what kind of knighting that they would want, but they are currently
back.
Oh, there they are. They're back. So you're actually qualified, I believe, aren't you?
Yeah.
For battle.
Yeah.
So provided you raise your hand.
No, that's the battle master over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, ideally, what would be your ideal knighting ceremony for you?
I have no idea. Maybe something that includes all of the knights telling like a really embarrassing story.
Like about themselves?
Yeah.
We can get this started right now.
I got loads. Tons of stories.
I don't know. I was never embarrassed. I only did things I wanted to do.
A knighting roast.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh, that'd be something.
Sick.
There we go.
There'd be so many COCs being handed out that day. Like the fucking monarch would just sit there with a notepad just writing.
No. No, you hit me up. I've got somebody with embroidery machine. We can make COC patches, and we can just
Just hand them out.
You're
hand them out.
gone. You're gone.
I would have to take mine like on my way up to the podium. So I know this is happening. It's fine. Like, just give me that.
I know what I'm here for. Let's skip through the formalities.
And suddenly, none of the knights are no longer playing.
Right.
Boom, roasted.
6 one way, half a dozen the other.
So noted, Talius. We're gonna roast you. I mean, I have no say in your nutting at all, but I'm saying we're doing it
You're gonna be
anyways.
waiting a while, so
Oh,
better start taking some notes.
is there a story behind that?
Nope.
Okay.
Obviously not.
So actually, since you're Knight of, so you would be qualified for Knight of Battle.
Mm-hmm.
So would you prefer a court knighting or a knighting on the battlefield, like during, or at the end of a major battle game or something like that?
Probably at court. Because if it was on like a big battle game and then they did it, I'd be all sweaty. And you want to look good for your night.
You want to look good for your knighting, that's right.
Nah, man, I took the opposite route when I was getting knighted. I wore the scrubbiest garb, and people were literally like, "That's what you're wearing." I was like, "I'm getting nice garb now. Like, I'm gonna show up looking like shit. I'm gonna leave looking awesome." Like,
Oh my god.
I had ripped up fighting pants and a tabard on.
Yep.
I don't even want to talk about my knighting. That was.
You got a lot of cool things.
I did, but I wasn't drunk. I had alcohol poisoning. There was a difference. The knights were trying to kill me that night. And then I had to run Dragon Master the next day while finishing a couple of scrolls. And so
Hey, I didn't try to kill you.
No, it wasn't you. It wasn't you per se. There were
Per
some
se.
people that knew exactly how much I enjoy certain flavors of alcohol and gave me an abundance of that alcohol. And then Moose the Fire Squire, thank you again, decided to keep the fire going almost all night. And so people just kept showing up with more alcohol and I couldn't go to sleep.
What site were we at? I'm trying to remember.
That
Was it
was
4-H?
it was the infamous 4-H. That is correct.
Okay.
How many nights of battle do you guys have down there?
3?
How many battle candidates? I think we do have 3. Yes, we have Torg, we have what's his butt? Oh yeah, Critias. And then we have I'm just kidding. And then we've got Vaughn. So
Okay.
that's 3, and we have a 4th that's qualled. 5 that's qualled?
Spud is qualled, but
What is qualled, and then Lefty Man Fu. Derek Roth.
Oh,
oh
gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah. We still have
Oh,
0.
Did he just get his masterhood at the last event?
Ask me after I'm done drinking.
Okay. Because I had to leave early for coronation, so I didn't get a secret.
I do believe so. I'm gonna say
I know
her
he was
previous
campaigning
match.
for it.
Well, it's so between the old school members, like, oh man, I'm for Blade. What does he go by? Brenyar.
Brenier, yeah.
Like Brenyar, Derek Roth, some of the older guard, where it's like you take a look at the rule book, and it's more than just, hey, you have to be a badass at certain classes. It's like the leading the troop sort of thing. And taking a look back at some of the historical battles of these different kingdoms, and then it's one of those, like, since we've created a new path. I remember this with the Order of the Crown, and how far back are we going to go for the Order of Battle, and these types of things, because there are those who, for example, have 6, 7 masterhoods and paragons, But because they earned those masterhoods and paragons, they can't necessarily play the game anymore because their
Mhm.
body is broken. Does that make them any less of a master or
Yes.
a battle knight because they can't do it now versus they have all the experience to be able to, for example, play a shatter battle where a lot of the newer generation don't know how to protect their lives because they didn't play in a version that the lives were a very limited resource. And so there's different perspectives and there's a lot of different points of view. Um, and I think anything that's new is going to be a contentious topic because it's polarizing. You know, anytime there's a new thing, it's always going to be polarizing. So,
And when I said campaigning, I didn't mean it in kind of any moral judgment, because like I think he deserves it absolutely, because he's done a lot of amazing. He's had a lot of amazing battles where he was instrumental in victory, and that's kind of what, from my understanding, the battle master is. It's not can you play this class well; is can you make it an effective change on the battlefield through leadership, or you knowing how to play the battle game itself, or whatever way. It's just you're the person on the battlefield making a change, moving the flow of battle for your team. And Derek Roth definitely met that criteria, I believe. And the campaigning I speak of is just him going around and saying, "Hey, yeah, I did these things. Can you corroborate with them?" And so he was like getting evidence to show that he did to support his claim that he should be a battle master. And I think that is a very good way for someone to go about doing it that has been playing the game for so long. Because he didn't just say, "I deserve it, give it to me." He said, "I deserve it. These are people that can support this claim." Yeah, corroborate. And so that was it was a nice way to do it, I think. So it wasn't a moral judgment.
No, just really quickly to add on to that point, the reason why I brought that up was 95% of kingdoms that I have seen, as soon as they saw the word paragon, they latched onto that shit, and it was like they completely forgot the rest of the 10 paragraphs that made up that whole section. And
Yeah.
and so that's why I brought that up, is that there's a lot more to it than just being a badass individually at that class. Yes, it absolutely helps. Absolutely helps.
I know that
But
like I feel like with I don't know how he's been doing recently. It's been a while since I've spent any real time around him. But back in the day, like if Battle Knight was around in like the mid 2000s or 2010s, he absolutely would have been a Battle Knight.
I'm gonna
oh,
catch up on chat here for a second.
Yeah.
Um, Sorry, I'm now reading chat. I'm going to skip to the questions though. Well, Night Squires and Company said, this isn't a question, but it's something I want to bring up because we were talking about it as well. We have 5 Masters pending: Bane, Moose, Derek Roth, Spud, and Doviel. So that is Black Spire's list. And then Josh, which is so many Joshes. Fazadar, I believe. Question for the group: do you feel the night meeting should be open to the public or kept closed? I we've talked about this on the last week. We were pretty toasty at the end when we were talking about it, but I personally think that the majority of nighting COK meetings should just be open. There's so much. From my personal experience talking to people that are not knights, there's so much confusion about what a night circle does. There's confusion about what we say. There's confusion about what our intentions are. There's just a whole bunch of confusion, and it's centered around the fact that no one is privy to the conversations that we have with the night circle and what we do. And so there's a perception problem, and one way of correcting that perception, I think, to be would be to open up nightings either fully, or not nightings, nighting circles either fully or at least for part of the discussion, so they can be there. Maybe, I mean, if people are concerned about their vote, then maybe for the vote, people could go away. I don't know what the perfect system would be, but I think there should definitely be a more open circle for the populace to understand what the process is for knighthood outside of the rule book. And I don't know what anyone else thinks, so we can go into that.
As Speaker of Knights, I'll wait until the end.
Okay.
So mine's
Um,
really mine's really I've said it a lot, so let's get it out of the way. I would keep votes private and all the discussion would be open, because my main belief is that I think if your concern is that you want to be able to speak freely or whatever, if you're saying something that you wouldn't want to say in front of the populace, then you probably shouldn't say it. So yeah, but that's my stance on it.
yeah. It's kind of how it boils down for me too. You said it very succinctly. What do you actually? Well, let's. I'm definitely going to ask Talius about this. But let's see. Critias actually hasn't been to a Knights meeting yet because they were late. I don't even know. Did you show up that day at Coronation?
He did.
I did. I was
Okay.
just very late because I was, excuse me. It was an hour and a half drive, and the meeting started at 11 a.m. and I am not a morning person. I refuse.
Hmm.
So yeah, I missed that one.
So, what do you think, Unum? You've been to a couple of Knights meetings, so
Yeah, I mean, public sounds great. I mean, aside from I think Orma's stance is pretty solid, but there is a lot of secrecy and all that. It feels a little culty sometimes when it shouldn't. It's a pretty simple process, I think, that gets a little overly complicated, and then public perception makes it even more complicated and creates more issues. But yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting thought. I never really considered it. So yeah.
so do you have any thoughts on this, Critias?
Not really. I think I don't know. I don't. Either way is fine with me. If we did make it public and stuff, I think Ornemus's way is definitely the way to go about that, though. I guess it just seems like the smartest way to do that to me. But yeah, I don't really care either way. I'd be for whatever.
You're so laid back, Critias.
You are. I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into your history, Critias, because I think out of everyone that's here, you're the newest player. So when you're coming up, and well, you had a knight, so you're a squire, so perhaps you had some more insight into the unspoken rules of the knights process. Did you have any confusion about what the Night Circle did, or how it was perceived because you were not part of it, or no one talked about it? Do you have any insight on that?
I honestly never really thought that much about the meetings and all, and like the circle specifically. Uh, it was just kind of like, how can I get there type of thing. But that was, I don't know. It never really went through my mind like there's a circle of people that have this that talk about things, and I didn't know what they talk about, but it never really mattered to me. I guess. I knew that there was like votes and stuff that went on of who should pass for like a belt and stuff, but that was pretty much the extent of what I knew. And other than that, I don't know. It just never really came to me, I guess.
Well, that's fair. I know we hang out with a lot of the same people because we're from the same park, and some of my confusion comes from actually people that started, or not my confusion, but people's confusion that I've talked to people, or like people that started around when you started, and I've heard these things from them. So I didn't know if you had those opinions or not, and it's nice to know what you thought. Thank you. So Talius, do you have an opinion on the matter?
On whether or not they should be public or not.
Yeah.
So this is my idea. So if we keep them private, what we do is we have the people that are getting like discussed and stuff. You drag them into it, right? And you put them on the stand, and then all the knights ask them a bunch of questions, and they have to defend themselves, like in like a 20-on-1 situation.
So it's like a thesis defense where you stand in front of the
Yeah.
the teachers and defend your thesis.
Yeah, exactly like that. That's what I want.
I mean,
I
to
actually
be
kind of like that too.
yeah. I
I'm
mean,
I'm
I don't know about the defense part, but I really like the idea of having the person that's being voted on there, so the knights can ask questions, because there has absolutely been miscommunications or information that is not correctly given between the knights and the person's activities that they have done, and it would really be something to clarify the truth, or well, I assume is the truth, because I assume people tell the truth when they talk. But that's, um, but yeah, to have them there to be able to like, oh well, did you do this thing? Oh, I did do this thing, but no one knew about it because it wasn't like a big like to do kind of thing. Not to call any specific night out, but there's an active night that went through the Facebook of RCOK, and like that never happened. That person said this thing. No, that's just wrong. I wasn't even there for that event or whatever. Um, so I think Tallius's idea, although not necessarily being a thesis defense, having the person there to talk with the circle, so the circle is actively engaged with the person that they're talking to or talking about, would be a benefit for the process, I think.
I think
Um,
before Requiem answers, just to address Tallius's, I think Tallius's idea would accomplish a lot of the same things that I would want to, because with the person sitting there, I think some of the people would lose their little shroud of secrecy for what they're trying to what they want to say, and so because there's tons of times where like people will be saying stuff, and they're like, oh, that's clearly like a lot of issues you brought up about that person. Like, let's go talk to them directly, like you and me. Let's go address that. And all of a sudden, they're fucking ninjas like a puff of smoke, and they're gone. Like they don't want to do that. So like, if the person's there, they're gonna, it's the same thing where they're not gonna be saying all sorts of crazy shit unless they really believe it and they're willing to stand by it, and that's fine. Like if you got something really negative to say it. Just be willing to stand by it.
mm-hmm.
There's a difference between bringing someone down and constructive criticism.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, Requiem, what's your opinion?
Well, I have learned from my mistakes, and that is a problem to go last because then it feels like you're riding on everyone's coattails. But to reaffirm everyone here, um, and a lot of this kind of goes into my hot take, so I'm going to leave most of that out. But as far as whether or not things should be open or not, I believe that certain portions of the Circle of Knights meeting should be closed. My reason for that is, for example, me speaking on topics with you five fine individuals. There's a certain level of interpersonal communication that is here that I would not feel comfortable speaking in the same way, letting certain guards down with individuals that I don't know and that don't know me in a certain level of intimacy. Um, as peers versus the pedestal that we've been put on. And then in the same aspect, I do believe that when it comes to feedback specifically, being able to bring masters forth, or fuck it, even 8 and above, someone who's on the watch list should immediately be getting feedback from the knights, especially within the order that is within their purview, as to the constructive criticism. But it's also my personal opinion that it's on the knights of that order to be doing that shit anyway. Otherwise, why are you
Yeah,
wearing a white belt? If you're not being a mentor or a sponsor in that field, then you have no business wearing the white belt. And so you should be actively going out of your way to not only be an example to these individuals that are 8 and above, or even below that, but especially those who are 8 and above, but also to those who are coming up in that same point, because leave it to the masters to be the bar. It's up to you as knights to be the people that raise people to the next ladder. To raise the standard, if that makes any sense. Um, if you want to be the bar, just be a master. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in being a master. There's nothing wrong with being the best of what you do. But if you're going to be a knight, it's not about you anymore. It's not about your accomplishments. It's not about the things that you do. It's about raising the people that are looking up to you and that are aspiring to be like you and being the person that they think that they are looking at. That's the way I've always looked at it. And I know that's kind of a hot take, but I feel slightly opinionated about the matter. So again, just bringing it back to whether or not it should be public. I have no problems telling somebody to their face my perspective. I'm not going to tell you how Unum feels, or Critias, or Oramus, or Baelnorn. I'm not going to tell you how they feel about you because that's their business. But I'm going to tell you how I feel because that's the only thing I know. And it's a lot easier. And as Baelnorn was saying, it skips a lot of miscommunication when the individual is brought before all of us and it's like, hey, we have discussed XYZ. And this is where we feel that there could be improvement. This is what we feel you are doing great. This is what we would like to see from you in the future. But I would also like to clarify, as the Speaker of Knights, as far as Black Spire is concerned, we're only an advocate. We give our suggestions to the monarch, and it's up to the monarch of whether or not someone passes or not.
Do you guys require a vote of approval before they're knighted?
No.
No.
Oh, see, we
We
do for the first one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what we do is we do a discussion, and the monarch is always involved in some form or fashion, as especially those who are within the the path of the individual themselves, but also those who may know them in XYZ. For example, if I spent a lot of time around someone versus Unum, then I would be able to give insights as to how they are on a day-to-day basis. Do they give, XYZ to the populace that asks them the same question that they've heard 100 times? Were they short with them? So on and so forth.
Yeah.
As Una may only see them 4 times a year at each individual camp out.
We have
does that make sense?
Yeah, we have each candidate has a representative, like a specific assigned one, and they're generally in charge of trickling any information down to that person. Um, the it's normally their knight, but if they don't have a knight, like it's somebody on the circle who knows them well. Like I'm Talius's representative, which is why he's never going to get it. So,
The truth comes
um,
out.
yeah, but no, it's a lot of like at the end of like a vote, if it's like if we give feedback, if they don't pass a vote and we give feedback, it's on that person to go like say what everyone said and let them know. I personally try to be like, hey, let them know that they can contact me and we can talk it out
Mhm.
personally if I voted no. Uh, Part of that's because I feel like everyone should do that. I feel like it should always, if you're going to vote no, you should have a reason why. There should be something like hard reason for your decision. And the other reason is that I don't necessarily trust all the time their representative to communicate my stance or
Mhm.
whatnot. Because I mean, like a lot of times it's not like they're being shitty. It's like they have a good friend that just missed out on an opportunity, so they're going to be upset, and so they're not going to be like necessarily all the time reasonable with how they communicate, like how I told them, like why I was voting no. So it's
Mhm.
like I always want them to reach out to me. It's like, let me tell you what I said, like so we know exactly what was said. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
um,
there's something to be said about firsthand conversation versus second, third, fourth, and
yeah,
fifth.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. Because I don't want like if I'm like, hey, like these
Don't
specific
want
things
anything
happened.
misconstrued.
Yeah, it's like if like I haven't had any good interactions with them necessarily. I don't want them to go back and be like, hey, dude, they said you suck. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like I'd like
You're
them to
wearing the
talk
wrong
to me.
colors for them. They're never gonna vote yes.
Yeah, they just hate you, bro.
Right.
Yeah. But we up until recently it was the monarch decided who they were going to vote, but they could only they can only knight someone who had already passed a knight circle vote though. And we voted on every individual belt.
Hmm.
Um they just recently changed it to we vote on their initial belt, and that still requires approval for it to be given. But any belt after that, any second, third, fourth, fifth belt can be awarded just by the monarch's discretion.
Could I speak on the night circle thing for a moment? Is that all right with you, Baelnorn, or should I wait until the end for that type of
Oh,
thing?
there's no schedule. Um,
Okay.
I do have to say that I have to go take a quick break because I
Oh,
have to
this is
use the
perfect for
restroom.
me to discuss while you're gone. No worries.
Oh yeah,
Go
I won't hear a thing at all. No, talk all you want.
He definitely doesn't have wireless headphones that he wears in the bathroom with him.
Just make sure to put them on mute. I don't need to hear that fire hydrant, okay?
Oh, don't worry. The mic is separate. The mic is sitting right here. Yeah. So you don't hear me go about. Anyways, Orbis, you're in charge. But
Oh
yeah,
no.
go ahead and continue.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
All right.
So the one thing that I was thinking about is that I don't know how it is in other knights or in other kingdoms because I haven't been a knight of any other kingdom, but I feel as though the circle can be so much more than what it's become.
Mm.
Um, I remember times in Amtgard back in the early 2000s where feasts were donated by the Flame Knights of this kingdom,
Mm.
or the prizes for these competitions were donated by the Owl and Dragon Knights of this kingdom, and so on and so forth. Where it's more than just votes; it's more
Yep.
than discussion. Where the knights of the circle were providing X, Y, or Z, depending on the needs of the kingdom at the time,
Mhm.
where the sword knights were teaching classes based on the ideal of a high tide raises the lowest ship, etc. Uh, where the serpent knights were teaching how to make garb for the first time, and that a basic belt pouch is totally okay. Um, how to make your first belt, so on and so forth. Where when I came up in this game, and for those who don't know me, I started this in the 1990s, and knights were something that I aspired to as a young man. That is like, man, I want to be like that. I see them acting this way, doing this, doing that. It's like that's what a good person should do
Right.
versus what the perception has become in recent years, where it's a club of individuals that are highly opinionated and will tote it around as some kind of prize.
Right.
And so, how do you guys feel about knights taking a more active role as the forefront? Not necessarily about, yes, let's bring the glory, but more so the, hey, let's facilitate these things and show people how it should be done, versus how things may have been in the last, let's say, couple of years, because we don't talk about the dark times.
Oh yeah, I'm Baelnorn. I have to tell. Critias, what do you think? We're gonna go one at a time here.
I definitely think like what you described of like the earlier nights and stuff, that's always what I kind of thought they were. I have a very awful memory, so I have very little idea of what knights did when I first started out. I do know they were a little more active in things. Um, like Serpent Knights crafted and like helped craft and ran Ithras and stuff like that, whereas Flame Knights were like always serving in some way, shape, or form. That kind of stuff I saw, and I thought that was really cool, and that's what made me want to also pursue that. So I would really like to see that come back actually, because I know it was, I want to say it was fairly often that I would see that stuff. I also tend to sit back and look at stuff more than people do though, because I just not a talker, I'm a listener type of thing, so I see a lot more than most people.
What are you trying to say?
Shut up, that's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I would love that. I actually love teaching, and I would, if anyone ever asked me to teach a class, I'd love to do that. It's just no one's ever really asked. So, and
Sign
I
me up,
never,
coach.
I never want to like. It's a weird spot to be in where you're like you want to help, but you also don't want to push yourself onto someone and be like, let me do this type of thing. And I'm still kind of struggling on how to figure that part out. So yeah, like I would love to do more as like a knight, quote unquote, like nightly things. So I'm down for that, and I'd back you on that.
As a side note, selfless plug, sorry, Baelnorn. So OG has grown a huge amount. We went from, I'm gonna say, below 10 to between 30 to 40.
Nice.
It would be good to see, they would be a very good control group for you. So anytime you ever want to come out, just let me know, or let the monarch know of OG or whatever. But I think that's also one of those things, is like, you as a fighter, not only as a tournament fighter, but as a battle game fighter, teach a class between the difference of fighting between a tournament and a battle game. How do you approach it differently, even? Even when you're not getting those hardcore one versus hardcore the other, that's still something that anyone who plays either in a battle game or a tournament could still get something out of, Like,
Building on that,
even
Critias. Oh,
I
sorry.
would sit
Go
in that
ahead.
class.
Bit of advice, Critias.
Yeah, what's
When
up?
you're thinking about classes and teaching, open up something like Google Docs. If you have an idea, write it down. Because in my experience, like, if I don't get actively engaged with that idea after a certain amount of period, however long it is for you, I'll forget about it. So you could build up a repertoire of ideas and class outlines or whatever. Because
I
as you're saying, you
forgot.
don't.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just rambling. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I forgot, but I actually was supposed to teach a battle game class this past Pack War. It got canceled
Mm.
because I don't remember why, but I still have the whole thing on my phone. Uh, it was the topic was like the strength of certain classes, where they excel versus where you should let other classes kind of pick up your slack. Because like every class has a specific role they can play better than others, and it was basically like which class does what and stuff like that. And I had like this whole thing listed out on my phone. It's a pretty big like document. Um, so I could always do that one too. I forgot I had that until like we started talking about battle game classes and stuff.
Hopefully
But
you get a chance to use it.
yeah, the difference between tournament and battle games is really interesting to me. I really actually want to do that. That sounds like a lot of fun. So,
You know, I just realized the screen is mirrored on YouTube for no apparent reason. That's weird.
Yeah, I
Anyways,
hate it.
yeah. Oh, I was listening, and I want to talk to about the idea of the knights doing things as a group, because before I was a knight, that did happen. After I was a knight, and shortly and before it stopped happening before I was a knight. When I was a knight, it was no longer happening, and then it was brought up before the dark times, as they are called in the stream, that we should try to do stuff, and they were organizing like trying to organize feasts and stuff like that, or donate meals or donate items as a group, and it just never happened because no one as a group wanted to act as a group because we were doing our own thing. And granted, the group was like 4 or 5 people because our night circle was active. Night circle was really small at the time, but there was an effort to try and do the thing that Rec Room is talking about right now. When at one point when I was in the circle, so my experience with it is that it just you got to get people on board with the idea, and you got to have a what's the word, the momentum to succeed. So it's not that it can't happen. It's not that we shouldn't try, because we should. It's just we shouldn't necessarily have the expectation that the night circle is going to like come together and do a meal or donate items or whatever like that. I think it's really cool if we get to do that, and I wouldn't be opposed to doing stuff that is personal in the night circle. But I also don't. It's not like I actively joined a household, for example, like that has a specific mission to do certain things. The night circle is you become a knight, and then you're part of the night circle because you're a knight, and then you should still do the nightly things and stuff like that. But the night circle as the knights all working together, I don't think is necessarily a given, but it is a worthy goal.
And that's where my hot take, and I'll go ahead and give spoilers now because
Oh, we're in our last hour. Do your hot take.
okay. I don't feel that knighthood should be a lifetime achievement award. I feel that knighthood should be a term seat, just like anything else. Now, whether their term is 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is. I've been in this game over 20 years. I've seen enough knights sit on their laurels. I've seen enough knights holier than thou. I've seen a knight. I came up in a style of serpent where I was told by a serpent knight, it's really good. It's really easy to look good when I'm the only fish in the pond. And then I looked at the knight and said, well, when was the last time you did something? And again, it's very much a hot take, and I understand that. But if you are not a part of the active duty of elevating those who look up to you in whatever path it is, there's nothing wrong with being a master. There's no dishonor in that. There is no taking away from the quality of work that you do, craft that it is. But if you are going to wear the white belt, the customer service beacon of this game, if you will, in whatever flavor or fashion that it's presented, with the color of trim, you need to step up and be the knight that the people need you to be, or just be a fucking master and let that be enough. Because again, there's nothing wrong with being the bar that people strive to achieve. But if people expect you, as wearing the white belt, to reach down and help them achieve their goal versus being the one smacking them down when they try, to me, that's not knightly behavior. That's not what it means to be a knight. Because when you become a knight, it's no longer about you. It's not about glorifying you. It's not about, hey, look at what I did. It's about, oh my God, you are so excited about this. I'm excited for you. It's about helping people learn and grow and achieve and celebrating for them. It's not about smacking someone down because you're afraid. It's like celebrating someone else's successes doesn't take away from your own. And I feel like a lot of knights are threatened by that they're going to be obsolete or not as great as. You know, it's one of those, being a knight is a job. It's a hard job. Because everything you do, everything you say is measured and weighed and calculated. And the game doesn't remain a game for you anymore. If you're going to step up to that level of responsibility, at least if it's termed, then you understand what you're stepping up to. And if you don't want to be the knight, if you just want to be the dick that wins all the tournaments, if you just want to be that dude or that chick or that whatever that is the top of the heap, the best in whatever field it is, then that's absolutely fine. If someone's like, hey, can you teach me of what it is that you do? And be like, no. Okay, be a master, because that is what a master is. But if you're going to be a knight, then be a knight. Otherwise, you have no right wearing the white.
What if you want to be the nice, funny guy who wins all the tournaments?
See, and that's the thing. You can wear the white and still win. But when people come up and ask you questions, you better not be the one that turns them away. I tell you what,
I know what you're saying, yeah.
I take a sketchbook to every KLE, to every single event, for the sole reason of that one person coming up and saying, hey, I'm having trouble drawing this, or I'm having problems with this. Can you help me? Then I pull it out of my belt pouch along with my drawing pencils, my pens, and my everything, and be like, yes, let's work on this literally right now. Like, my event is over for this select amount of time. I will help you until you say, hey, I got it. Thank you so much. Because to me, that's what I wish a knight would have been when I was coming up. And if you are not willing to do that, then why are you wearing the uniform?
Yeah.
Whether it's fighting,
I feel like
whether
I
it's a
need
leather
to
crafting.
drop my belt.
Well, but the thing is you're doing
I'm just
that.
joking.
I was gonna say you're doing that. You know, whether it's households and I'm not saying it has to be like super active. You know, I'm not saying like you have to be hitting these mileposts every year. What I'm saying is making the active effort. You know, if you're working 9 months of the year on a fucking oil rig, yeah, I'm not gonna be expecting much of you. Or if you're active duty, I'm not expecting much of you. But if you're going to step onto the field wearing a white belt, if you are going to wear that beacon in this game that we all mutually agree to play, then have the attitude of a knight. Otherwise, just be a master because there's no shame in that.
The biggest issue you probably run into is who gets to decide after like whatever like the 2-year term or whatever if they're going to continue because it can't be the Knight Circle because none of them want to lose their belts, so they'll just keep voting each other back in.
Well, the problem is taking a look at it as a lifetime achievement award. Again, masterhood is the top. And again, this is just my personal hot take. Master is the top of the heap, the top of what you can do. From those candidates is when you elect the knights.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm just saying that like whatever body of people decides when knights either continue to be knights or stop being knights, it couldn't be the Knight Circle.
Yeah, it should be me.
Yeah, it could be
Absolutely.
We'll just send them a list every 6 months of all the people coming up.
Nope. Nope.
There wouldn't be a lot of there wouldn't be much need for white leather because there wouldn't be any knights left. That's for sure.
But what I'm saying is like, okay, so who of you grew up in V7?
Not me.
Okay.
V6.
You know, yeah, 6.0, you know, so 7.0 and beyond, right? It was a whole different flavor. It was a whole different game. Some aspects still stay the same. Well, yeah, we call them the same classes and stuff like that. I remember what knights were when I started the game at the turn of the century. That's all I want. Because that's what kept me playing for 20 years. I don't feel like it's too much to ask because it's already been done. And as knights, you should want to do that.
Yeah.
There's a
sorry.
This discussion actually touches on a couple things. It started with Talius given the face when Requiem said it should be an office and you should lose it at some point. Because Talius was like, I don't know if Talius had anything to say about that part.
So
hold on a second for Talius. Hold on a second, take it. Well, I'll let you figure that out. The other part is, and we've talked about this on the show before, is the difference between knighthood and masterhood, which is, I think, a separate topic other than the level of not completely separate. There's related discussion, but I think it's a whole nother discussion when you're talking about if a knight and masterhood, what's the difference between knight and masterhood? That is a little bit of separate discussion, but they are tangentially related, and I think we can touch on both of that. But first, I want to go to the Talius because he had that reaction. I'm sure I'm going to clip it and put it on the
TikTok.
So this kind of thing I've actually thought about quite a bit with like paragons and stuff as well, of like things that are an expression of skill, like sword fighting or like battle gaming, like because those things they kind of change as time goes on, where like like arts and leadership doesn't really change as much. So like being a paragon in like V6 or like a master in like V6 or V7, right? Doesn't mean you know how to play the game now. So I think like those kind of skill-based awards should have to be re-earned in each version. And then just give them like be like, oh, you're a knight of battle in V8, but you're not one anymore. Like it's V9 now, so it's a different game. And if you've been active, you'll probably be able to like transfer a lot of those skills and re-earn it pretty quickly. But like,
So what's the trend been every 10 years?
I had probably around that. I don't know for sure though. I've only ever played V8.
So every edition, we should just like, all right, you're no
I'll be right
longer a
back.
knight, re-earn it. All right.
Or you guys go ahead and talk. I'll be right back.
All right.
Yeah. I
Well-
also think that this issue would not like come up as much is if we just had one like knighthood that was just based around how much effort and like energy you give back to the game rather than like an expertise in a specific subject. Because like when we talk about knighthood, it's not really like oh like you're a master, so like we look at you. It's just like that's just a weird bar that we have instead of knighthood just being like a hey, these people have done a lot for this game. They've put a lot of time in it, money into it. They volunteered and organized a lot of events. Like they teach people like stuff like that, and you can do that without being the best at something. So I think the way we look at knighthood in general is a little warped. Go ahead, Ormus.
Well, I think Unum had something to say.
Oh.
No? Okay, sorry. This is a great example of why discussions on the Knight Circle should be public, because it's been quite a while now where the discussion, when we're talking about a candidate, it's specifically like people will be like, oh, they're a good crafter, like look what they made, and then we'll stop them and be like, stop, that's not what we're talking about here. They have their masterhood, so they're qualified based on that. What we're looking at is character and knightly qualities. So that's actually been like a shift that happened a while ago, at least like a year ago. Since I've been on the circle, it's been this way. So like where we tried to get away from talking about technical qualifications as far as like what they did on their path to earn their masterhood, and speak more to like their character, like what they do, what they give back to the game outside of it and stuff like that, outside of their path or in their path. Yeah.
Yeah.
Black Spire still talks about qualifications in the Nat Circle.
It seeps in a little bit when we talk, but we try to avoid it because it's like it's not. We keep saying things like that's not what we're here to talk about, but
That's fair.
it can come in periodically. But yeah, the goal is to just like look, because
I mean,
it's not the way we look at it is it's up to the monarch to decide if they're a master, not us. And if we're rehashing their skill level, that's just talking about their masterhood.
that's fair.
But yeah, like I said, like it was just kind of funny because like as Talius was talking, it's like it's not perfect and we haven't completely gotten there yet. But like if Night Circle meetings were public, that would be known that that is something we try for at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. Talius, based on your assertion, I'm kind of curious because I understand. I'm curious if you would, if when you talk about earning for each edition of the rulebook, would that be like a battle master starting from 0 orders of battle, or would you start them at like 7 or 5 or whatnot? Or because if you're gonna reset battle masters, then wouldn't everyone in the game reset? Like it, or
Maybe.
yeah, but I mean, like it's. I can only speak to myself. I tried for almost 20 years to get my warlord through 2 different divisions of the rule book. If my awards were being reset the whole time, it never would have been possible.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's a bad idea because I totally get what you're saying, but like I feel like if you're starting from 0, it's just going to make masterhood's close to unattainable.
So
Not
so
for some, but
so quick question. You talking about masterhoods or are you talking about paragons?
I like my initial thought was just for like paragons, but like in the same vein, I think we could also have people like be earning awards in some way. I don't know. I feel like knighthood in general is kind of viewed as like, oh, you won Amtgard, and then people stop playing,
right.
It
and
doesn't feel like that.
Normally, from what I have seen from traveling the U.S. and playing this game, the reason why knights are you've won the game is because they're so burnt out at the end of it.
Hmm.
They don't want to keep doing what they had to do to get to it, which is something that I've actually noticed. Baelnorn, remember when knighthoods generally took about 8 to 10 years to get, and now we're looking
Hell, I
at
remember when it was a couple years.
3 to 5 is what I've noticed in the last few years.
3 to 5 seems more reasonable. To me, it took 15 years. I think it took longer.
Yep, it took me 22 years.
Yeah, that's too long. I mean, granted, some people don't put the effort in until a certain amount of time, but generally speaking, a lot of them have put in the effort for many, many years. Like, I tried for the majority of the time. You probably tried for the majority of the time. You've been working on your art forever.
Well, I'm
So,
actually glad that it actually took as long as it did. Um, I mean, yeah, it sucked for some parts because there's always that, reaching that next level sort of a thing. But if I hadn't gone through the life experiences that I'd gone to get to where I'm at today, then I wouldn't be able to reach that one person that I might be able to now because of what I had gone through in my climb through the ladder and through my life experiences adjacent to that, you know. Um maybe that's a deeper topic. Maybe I should just leave that over on the side burner for another
no,
time.
that's fine. I mean, it is a little bit different topic, but it's a fair point. Um, I think time wise, I think 3 to 5 years is fair of actually trying to get of actually actively working on the path that you're trying to get. But a lot of people I've talked to is like, I've been working on this for 6 months. Why am I not a master yet? It's like, and I had to explain to them the process and the culture and the history behind the awards, and like there was most definitely a time in the Northwest, not just Blackspire, where it took too long to get knighthood or masterhood in some areas, and it was just people to get burnt out before we get there, or they get burnt out when they get there, and they're no longer having fun doing the thing that they have been doing for the last couple of years because it would take a decade instead of half a decade or less than a half decade.
It's
Actually, on that point, Oramus, would you have felt comfortable being for example, Crown Knight?
I am a
Six
crown knight.
6 months to a year after you started
Oh,
playing the game.
I gotta let you finish the question. Sorry. No, not at all.
And Critias, you being a sword or a battle, a year to 2 years within starting the game.
Nah, probably not. I think the time it took me, actually, to answer that, no, straight no, because around my seventh order, my whole mindset changed, and
Mhm.
that's why I'm where I'm at today. And
And
I don't think it would have happened if I didn't have that time, to build that kind of experience and stuff.
Kind of a tangent, but what changed in your mindset?
Um, I was stuck on one order for like over a year, and it was very infuriating. because I just couldn't. I think it was actually my 6th. I just could not place in a tournament to save my life, and I didn't know why. Because outside of tournaments, I was beating most of the people, if not all the people that I would fight. Um, and at one point, I'm not real sure what happened. I know I talked to Vaughn a little bit about it, and he helped me through some of it. Throughout the whole time, he was telling me like, stop focusing on the award, just focus on getting better. But that never really like I took that, but not took it as hard as I should have. I think because eventually that's all I cared about. Like the awards were just piece of paper at that point. It was just about getting better, being the best I could possibly be. And as soon as that mindset like flipped, I shot up, man. Like my skill level just like I don't like to talk about my own achievements and like skill and stuff like that. It's just not who I am. I can comfortably say that my skill level like just skyrocketed, and it's such an insane thing to me because I think the mental aspect of it's probably all masterhoods honestly, but this is for warlords specifically that I'm talking about. The mental aspect of like fighting and stuff and like getting to where you're supposed to get, I think it's just as important, if not more so, than the physical aspect of it. And I think no one talks about that. Like I've never heard anyone say anything about that until like I kind of experienced it myself.
We should talk more often. I wanna share something with you, Critias, because you talked about stagnating for a year. Let me share something with you really quick. So my 8th Order of the Warrior, I got April 1st, 2013. A 9th Order of the Warrior, March 24th, 2018. So it's 5 years later. I was stuck at that for so long. And then my 10th Order of the Warrior, March 26th, 2022.
Were you like achieving quote unquote those like requirements throughout that time frame though, or was it like it took you that
um,
long to get there?
it was a little bit different for me because of where I lived. Because I didn't live near the kingdom. I lived 4 to 5 hours away from any of the kingdom level tournaments. Even farther if you count when we were all still Blackspire. Because I lived over in Spokane, and that's where I was doing most of my fighting. So like my ability to fight in kingdom level tournaments was restricted because I couldn't travel a whole ton. So I was achieving quite a bit skill wise, but I wasn't able to really like put in the time, especially during that 5 years between 8 and 9, do anything like that. So it just my situation there just made it take a little bit longer.
Do you think if you had like if your situation wasn't like that, so you were closer by to all the tournament stuff, do you think that time frame would have been different on when you got your next order?
It's hard to say because like just having more opportunities is always gonna like increase your chances a little bit. But uh, that was also that was also a time during the Northern Lights time where there was like it was real hard to win a tournament. Like there was like Cyric at his peak and Dogboy at his peak and Robin at his peak at the time, and there was like Show was still really active, and and Colton or Duncan at the time, and uh, so I'd like to think I could have, but it might have taken just as long.
It was just a bigger pool of time, basically.
Yeah, yeah. But again, more opportunities might have been different. It's still like it's I a lot of that time. Uh, Even after I moved here, it still took me like 6 years to finally get my warlord. Since I moved over here, and the we have a lot of good fighters, but the pool is definitely not as deep as it was back then. Nowadays, but it's still pretty deep. But
Have you
yeah,
noticed that when some of the old school come out of the woodworks, it's like they're bringing a whole different level of Amtgard. Like I haven't seen this move in 5 years. Quit killing me with my own move.
uh, I can't think of any examples that jump out to me. Uh, but
I think
I mean,
What
it's
was,
it's
always
what was the last time you fought Maurice? Because I know they've came out a couple times in the last couple years.
me.
That's yeah.
Um,
Because you
I
actually know
didn't.
who Maurice is. I don't think any Radius would know who he is.
No, or I mean probably not, but I saw him. So he came out to my knighting, and he came to Pack War. Those are I saw him those 2 times, but I wasn't able to fight him at all during those times because
Oh,
my
okay.
everything going off my back and stuff like that. So
Oh yeah.
unfortunately, I haven't fought Maurice since like it's probably been 10 years at least, if not a little more.
Yeah. All right. Well, that doesn't help, but
Nope, sorry.
but I mean that was the only example I could think of that you might have experienced where the old person took a big break, came back, did the thing because Maurice still was it the Force from the North or something like that
Mhm.
was his epitaph or title.
That's what they called him in Texas, yeah.
Yeah. I miss that guy.
Yeah.
I got to
I
talk to him.
don't.
He came out last year at one of the local events. He says he's going to be coming out more often, not on a regular basis, but his children are grown, so he has more time. And oh my God, he has so many children if I remember right. But
You're like nine, I think, right?
yeah.
I forget
So
that question may have been from privileged position because I've got a bunch of old school in my company that show up randomly out of the woodwork and
Eh.
bring out a whole bunch of old school tech. Like I saw a Zulu spear for the first time in like I forget how long.
is that even
Just-
legal anymore?
no.
No. It's like I remember those just hurting.
Well, I mean, like, okay, so this scar is no. They have like a different renditions of the Zulu spear, but their construction requirements are a little bit more. Actually, that's a really good question. Have you guys seen the new V8 or the excuse me, V9 plate type stuff on Amtwiki yet? Like with the new weapon construction and stuff like that?
I
Yep.
have read them, but I do not remember them.
Oh, it
But
looks like you got a comment.
Talia says.
Yeah, what about him?
So, I was gonna say, how do you feel about like the new armor requirements, the new weapon requirements, those types of
I
things?
think overall the changes are really good. The changes to armor are going to make it a lot more accessible to have armor for people because armor is very expensive. It's like one of the most expensive parts of our game, and it's a really big component in being successful in battle games. And one of the biggest complaints that I heard all the time, like in this game, was people complaining about magic classes when they were playing martial classes without any armor. And so I'm hoping that this accessibility will make it easier for people to play those classes at their maximum capacity, and then they can realize that the gap is not what they think it is. Ormus.
I disagree with that hardcore. I think the casters are far and away better than the martial classes, regardless if you have armor or not.
Do you think that they should bring back the ratios?
No.
I actually
Like
don't know what that is, so I can't help with that.
He's a summer child. He hasn't played with the ratios.
So the ratios were you had to have 10 people on the other team in order to equate having one healer, bard, druid, wizard, etc. because of how strong those classes were back in the previous editions. And so you would have to have 10 warrior, monk, barbarian, scouts, in that class that shall not be named, assassin, in order to play or in order to, uh, you know, make equal that which could be a wizard or bard or druid or.
I don't
Those
think I
were
really
5
like
people.
that.
No, it's terrible.
Yeah, it makes the game like everything should be accessible regardless. And I don't really think it's gonna be like I don't think it'd be super hard to sit down and balance like the classes how they are. It's just right now because very little like this past V8 change that they did was awesome because it was a pretty big overhaul of some of the classes, so it helped a lot. But that's the first time I've seen that since I've been in this game.
Yeah, it's
I've
because they
been
put a
in,
moratorium on rules changes.
which is really
Super
stupid.
stupid. Yep.
Stupid.
I get why they did it, because we were at a point where we had a rule change every for a while we did it every year, but then it was every 2 years was a rule
Wasn't it
change
every
year.
other year?
Yeah. So they had a rule. They switch it to where it was a rules clarification year, where there were no changes, but they would clarify rules. Then the next year would be a rule change, and they would flip flop. So it's
Yeah.
changed every 2 years, which was way too much.
Maybe, but if it has to change that often, isn't it just flawed?
I
Yeah, that's
mean,
why
yeah,
that's why we have V8 now.
that's
5.2 spicy chili.
yeah. I mean, most games that exist have patches like every week or every 2 weeks. So like it's insane that we're playing a game that is only updated every
10 years.
2 years.
mean,
And
to
like
be
Hmm?
finish your thought. Sorry.
No, it's like the reason that the balance that exists now, and like I'm not saying that like the game is perfectly balanced. I'm saying that the gap that exists between martial and magic classes isn't as big as people like think it is. Mostly the issue is like versatility, but like we could easily change, like in the course of like a couple months, if we released an update every week, we could make the game a lot more balanced, but that's just not how we function.
Well, I was thinking that you're talking about games, but my first thought is you're probably talking about video games, and this is a completely different sphere altogether. It's more closely akin to tabletop games, but even then, it's not the same. And their errata is less than video games because they don't
It's
necessarily.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to use another example to point out what I just
Yeah,
said.
I mean, our game is fundamentally the same as a video game. We have like powers that do things, and sometimes those powers interact with the game in a way that is too overbearing and impacts the ability to counterplay and have fun in the game. So in that regard, it's the same as playing a video game where they come out with patch notes, because when they come out with those patch notes, it's to balance things that make the game unfun or are overperforming, or to buff things that are useless or underused.
I would think that it would be well. It is difficult to balance a LARP,
Yeah.
I guess you'd say. And disseminating information is a little harder because, like, if they make a rules change at like clans, it takes time for everyone to get the rules, learn the rules, disperse the rules. And that's why I don't think the analogy of a video game is good because with the video games, you just make the errata, it immediately is implemented. Everyone's playing the same way, and
Yeah, but I
that's
mean,
the process is harder with a LARP.
I disagree. If like it would be a little bit harder because people would have to like change small portions of their game knowledge, but it's demonstrated in like League of Legends, for example. There's like hundreds of items, champions, abilities, and people have that all memorized and they keep it up to date in their mind from reading patch notes. So it's like it's not unfeasible for people to be able to keep up with it. And that's I'm saying like we could fix it in a couple months if we did that. But if we had a patch like every 2 months, the game would be drastically better at this point than if we just did it once every 2 years.
I have something to add when
Go
you're
ahead.
done.
Go for it.
No, you actually do bring up valid points where, as far as the interaction between players is concerned, um, as far as patch notes and stuff, um, my major concern is the role play aspect of our LARP. Um, to me, it's felt more like scenario paintball versus you having a in-depth connection with your character and having an investment in the well-being of your persona and the development therein. And I see something where the younger generation is, and not saying like younger as in age demographic. I'm saying younger as in the overall time spent within our game, as the overall mechanics in the interclass relationships of how this affects this class versus this class, and what I would consider metagaming versus tell me about your character, what makes your character tick, how do I personify you as a barbarian versus you as a druid versus you as a warrior versus these are the most meta class abilities that I can take for this battle game in question for this particular day. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think the issue is that people are latching on to the terminology of a LARP a lot, thinking that like our game is really intended to be that level of role playing because the systems of our game just don't allow that in like culturally it's just not something that people are typically interested in. There's a few people here and there that want to role play, but most people just want to go get drunk and camp out with their friends. So it's not really an issue with the rule book as much as it is like culturally.
Well, and you were saying that you started in V8, right?
Yeah.
In V7, a vast majority of it was the role play. It wasn't until V8 where we saw a major contribution to the battle game aspect as to before, where, for example, life count. Life count was a huge thing as far as battle games were concerned, where you had to protect your lives. And that was one thing where the role play aspect actually affected gameplay. Another was raids in the middle of court, where you're in the middle of court and then there's some high lord noble announcing that dragons are raiding and you need to protect your holding, and you look out and there's 5 volunteers out there flapping their 2 short swords like some form of wings, and they are coming towards your court to wreak all sorts of havoc. It doesn't necessarily need to impact the day-to-day battle games versus making you feel that you are invested in whether or not your persona and those interactions of the people that you meet is valuable to you. I don't know if that makes any sense. I apologize. But
I mean, I think what you're getting at is that like death doesn't mean anything in our game, and so people don't care to like preserve themselves. But I don't think like from the experiences of people that I have talked to, like you are one of the few that have had this role play experience in the game like within the last like 20 years.
that is
So
probably true.
yeah,
He's not though. Like I've experienced this too. Another example is it's a little bit different with the role or with the role play and the rules. Synergizing like in V6 V7, there was the barbarian who has to eat the spice packet to heal. It's like or
Eating greens.
yeah, I would just eat the grass. It was ridiculous. But and then for scout, for example, bandage. You wrap a bandage around your leg or your arm or whatever, and then you can't exert yourself for whatever count it was because the rules reinforce the role play. V8 no longer has rules that reinforce the role play, and I think that is kind of what Requiem's trying to get at with the difference between V7 and V8. I could be wrong.
It's a difference between going out to play with your friends before the lights turn on and glorified paintball. And I mean that in the best way
I mean,
possible.
paintball's fun, so
When, for example, I had a persona executed because the role play aspect of that persona no longer fit the trajectory that I was trying to go as a individual. And also because I assassinated Kingdom Monarchy at the time. And so that was kind of a big deal. But with that being said, people don't think of their personas that way.
I don't I don't know if this is unique to Amtgard though, because someone can correct me if I'm wrong. Talius knows I'm not a big gamer, but I feel like a lot of like games are kind of geared that way too, where it's like more about you hear at least for those of us on the outside, you hear more about like raids, which are shorter, like shorter, more targeted um experiences as opposed to like people like playing Skyrim where you're just kind of open world. Like I know there's still open world games, but like it's I just feel like the longer, just like kind of more open adventure is like not as common and not as competitive as the shorter, more targeted experiences. And I feel like that's kind of just where Amtgard is going as well.
and
I think.
I
Go ahead.
Oh, this will be quick. Basically, how I explain Amtgard to a lot of new players, and this relates to video games because I liken it to video games in this respect, is that Amtgard is like League of Legends. It's PvP. It's a lot of like just team versus team battles, where other LARPs is more like Skyrim, for example, where it's immersive role play. You explore, you play the quest lines, and so that's how I explain Amtgard. Amtgard can be more role play, quests, and people can make the environment where it happens, but that's just it's harder, and we are play every week, and those take more time to think out. So we don't experience that on the week to week basis. It's usually a special event when we do the role play parts
Yeah.
nowadays.
So there is something to be said about like our regular park days and then like the uses of scenario battles or quests or like role play events. But one of the issues that like role playing creates is there needs to be a lot of volunteers basically. Because if you want to go out with your friends to go kill some goblins in the world, there has to be goblins in the world, and that means that there's going to be people there playing as goblins, not playing as their personas, right? And to have like that like a good experience, you need more volunteers than you have people playing or like actively playing. So it's a like very logistic heavy to kind of achieve that, and to do that every week would be very strenuous to the people
Monumental.
in charge. And also, not everybody likes it. Like a lot of people that play this game like it to be glorified paintball, as you call it. But like there is some people who role play like on forums or like off of battle games, but I just don't think that battle games really lend themselves to that kind of role playing, and I don't think that they ever have. Just from
No, you're absolutely correct. Battle games are more so for the stick that jock that wanted to feel involved versus quests. Um, and you're completely right. Where the battle games lend themselves more to the individuals that want to push themselves in their respective role versus actively push their persona to be the development of who they want to be. Um, all I was bringing to light was that in previous editions of the game, there was more emphasis or emphasis, as younger people say, that the who you were in the role play was just as important as the spells you cast or the abilities you used. And that dynamic has changed, which is why you see a differential between the quote unquote old guard engaging in some of these battle games, whether they're high stakes or not, because to them, it's not necessarily a question of whether or not it's a point of risk for their persona or whether or not it's something that they want to actually engage in with the people that don't necessarily view it the same way as they do. And so there's a dynamic shift between those who view it as as you said, like a League of Legends match where out the what's the word? Where the end game screen is what's most important versus how you got there.
I will say one thing, like if you really think about it though, because even with the new rules, like people still have the option of role playing, and it feels like once the rules stopped sort of forcing role play, it just went away, and I think that kind of says where people stand on how much they actually want the role play. You know what I mean? Because like if like you could you can do things like that if you wanted to. You could like play use adrenaline and stop to drink a potion if you wanted to, but they don't. You know what I mean? Like it so like if the role play is only around because the rules enforce it, then it's not because people want it. I'm not saying that people don't want it, but like the majority obviously doesn't. Uh, kind of
Well,
just let
and
it go.
that's why I was bringing up the difference between like weekly quest or weekly battle games versus quests,
Right.
where it felt like in like V7, almost every week was a separate scenario for an ongoing quest versus in V8 it was okay, some form of capture the flag, some form of heavy object, some maybe if your holding was feeling experimental, some form of shatter battle, and then ditching in between to keep the stick drops warm. I mean, does that feel unfair? Because
No.
I
I
mean
mean,
that's my perspective.
that's kind of from my understanding, at least in the Northwest, in my experiences specifically in Blackspire, is that there is a divide between what happened and what is happening, what people want now. I think that there is a compromise and an evolution to how we engage with the rules in roleplay. I'm a big advocate for scenario battles. It gives a chance for people so the mechanics of the battle are dictated by the story that you're trying to tell. It doesn't have to be a full quest or anything like that, but you're defending the castle against bandits or something like that. And then, so that allows people that want to engage with the roleplay to engage with the roleplay because there is some kind of dressing to the mechanic that you're playing, and it keeps and allows people that just want to do the defense of the keep battle game, they just play the game.
Mhm.
And from my perspective, that is the evolution of how we incorporate the roleplay in V8 compared to how we incorporate the roleplay in V6 or V7
Right.
on a weekly basis, anyways. That's just my suggestion for, because I think the roleplay is important because we are a LARP. Even if we don't do the roleplay, we're still playing classes. We're still pretending to be a wizard to cast spells and throwing spell balls. Even if we're not role playing to be defending the damsel in distress kind of thing.
Well,
So it's still a roleplay game.
don't get me wrong. I love the stick tag just as much as the next stick jock, But at the same time, I also appreciate like when my leg is broken and I can't fight to that same level, being able to heal my team and be able to contribute in that way.
Yeah.
Um, just my whole dick is that like Amtgard saved my life when I was younger, when I was going through my adolescent stage. It gave me something to focus on in which I could be a better person than I was the day before. And I just hope and pray that in some form or fashion, it'll be able to mean that same thing to somebody coming into the game and whatever it is that they need, whether it is to personify that person that they wish that they could be, whether they're working customer service and they don't have the courage to speak up versus their persona actually does, or being able to be that sword wielding badass in the tournament that absolutely wins the royals favor. I just hope that they find that fulfillment in themselves and whatever their pursuit, whether it's like you with the battle games and playing the class the best that you can, or like me, where it's being the person that they wish they could be every day with people that they trust to show that part of themselves to, if that makes
I
any
think
sense.
it does make sense, and I think that could, even without the role play aspect, I think we still have that with our community because we have the support and people are able to fulfill their innermost, not desires. That's not the right word, but they're they're able to fulfill something within themselves where the mundane, their 9 to 5 job where they can't. Maybe this through volunteering or art or through playing the games now, thanks to Battle Night. And I think it's always been the community. I think in the grand scheme of things, in my experience, that has really kept me involved. It hasn't been the game mechanics. It's been the community, the people I met along the way, the experiences I've had, and the game is part of it, obviously. But maybe we can get some because we three
Say,
have
what about
been,
these four? What about these four?
yeah. So
What do they
Prius,
feel
do
about
you have any
this?
thoughts on this? You're one of the newer players. So I'd like to get your opinion.
I'm not a big role player, so like it's not. I mean, it's neither for me. Like I don't mind either way. I don't know if I'm the right person to ask about it.
You're
Uh,
absolutely the right person to ask.
I don't know. Like if people want to do it, more power to them. I think it's fun to like watch that kind of stuff. I just don't. It's just not my thing, I guess. Um,
Well, I think with my experience with you at Shattered Kingdoms, you participated.
that was a little easier, yeah, because it was like I guess if I have like a base, like a story to base it around, and I know what I'm doing and where I'm supposed to be at and stuff like that, it makes it a little easier. But for like for like every week type of thing, I don't know if that would be something I would enjoy. I do
Yeah.
kind of like the idea of props integrated into classes, like you said, the bandage for like a scout or the leaves or grass or whatever for barbarian. I like that idea. I also kind of worry that it would make things a little more, I don't want to say difficult, but maybe complicated for newer people. It's kind of like they need more equipment, I guess, but I mean that could be fixed if they just keep coming out, that kind of fixes itself after time.
Yeah.
Um, so I think there's pros and cons to both. And yeah, I don't really have an opinion on it, I guess.
You do have an opinion. You just gave it. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Not okay. You're welcome.
You had to work through it. That's fine. Unum, do you have any opinions on the subject?
I like playing monsters, so Like I like to role play it, so it's fun. I'll role play like if I'm playing barbarian, I'll role play a little bit. It's I don't know, it's funner. It's helps me take things less seriously. So
Fazadar, Josh Esker says, I feel we are all responsible for our/your own immersion. Which I guess is kind of the crux of the discussion. Especially with V8. I mean, and what Unum said, you have to want to do the thing, and you can find your roleplay. I wrote an article on my blog about roleplay in Amtgard, and one thing I talked about is battle games is you make your own character. Like I for a while I was playing druid and I was a gnome, so I role played a gnome, and my special abilities came from creating my little magic devices and stuff like that. Because I was playing a druid, and I was making a golem, and I was enchanting people, and like it's just adding your own flavor to the battle game and your own perspective of the game, and that can open up different avenues of roleplay for your own personal experience. I know you're sick jockey there, Ormus. What's your opinion? You've experienced V7, so you have a different insight than some of the newer players.
Yeah, no, I love role play. But I mean, it's I've always kind of felt like the onus comes down to the players, not the rules. But um, I've gone through phases of stubbornly acting out every ice wall and entangle and petrify and stuff like that. I don't know if petrify is not a thing anymore, but
Thank
um,
God.
I did that. I did like I was in like a healer household, and we'd kind of role play doing that. Uh, I I played a healer that was a mock like sort of imitating a combat medic, stuff like that. Like it's but yeah, I mean, I've always enjoyed it. Um, but yeah, it's kind of it takes more people doing it. Like you can't just be out there role playing by yourself, or else it sucks.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's why the targeted events like Shattered Kingdoms, it's really easy to role play at those because you're going there to do that, and everyone else is going there to do that. So it's like um, having those specific environments within our game helps facilitate it, makes it easier for people who don't normally do it. But I also like I don't know. Uh, there's been times where it's easy for me to do things like role play because I'm not uh I'm trying to be more competitive now in battle games. When I wasn't trying to be competitive in battle games, it was easy to role play because it's just kind of screwing around.
Mm-hmm.
But like when you're like it's a little bit hard now because I have certain goals that I have now that uh I gotta start learning and doing shit. So if so the role play is definitely not gonna just start now. But we also did like I like running quests. Like we did stuff like that. We did a whole reign of a quest every month, and um, but yeah, it was even when we had quests. Like the amount of role playing was mostly the monsters and a couple of the players. The rest of the players were just playing. You know what I mean? Like so,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all super situational. It's gonna be rare to see somebody role play like hardcore and unless we have a environment where more people are doing it. It's always going to be that way.
So I've thought of an idea for a while now, and I kind of mentioned this the theme battle games. I did that in Shattered Kingdoms because there's quest battle game, but I haven't taken it upon myself to be a monarch in a local park or a champion where I institute that on a weekly basis. Calling you out there, Talius, I'm going to ask you a question here. What do you think would happen if like you would for example, if I was champion or monarch and I was like, these games all add up to a story, and they're just in their theme. There's explanation behind them, but the mechanics are still basically like League of Legends. There's just story driven around it. What do you think would happen?
So I have actually been through this. Is something that we used to do in Alaska a lot. We'd have rain themes, and one of the things we'd do is we would have like a once a month quest day, and then every week we'd have one battle game that was scenario based or like led into the story somehow. Funnily enough, those games get more competitive than normal battle games because the stakes feel higher because it's like a longer rain based thing. I won't say that it helped with role playing. Some people chose to role play more during those games. But those people who chose to do that were also people who were like more interested in role playing in the first place. So
So would you say it gave? I guess this is a leading question. I apologize, but would you say that would give more people that wanted to roleplay a chance to roleplay, while people that still wanted to just battle game have their place to just battle game simultaneously?
yeah, I think that it does it basically. I think that the people who want to roleplay will roleplay when they have the space to roleplay, and I think that will create the space for them to roleplay without limiting the people who don't really want to roleplay as much.
All right. Now I'm kind of eager to try to implement this on some level. So, thank you for your insight. Because I didn't know that they were doing that up there in Alaska.
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
travel that
it was a
much.
pretty big thing when I was like first starting the Amtgard.
So it is now 11:13. I'm almost out of beer, and this has been a really good discussion. And I'm not sure how I'm going to clip this because that was like an hour discussion. I'm not going to clip an hour. Do we want to continue?
Uh,
I'm
I
fine with
personally
continuing,
have to
but
go,
okay,
but
Same here.
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Then
Amtgard
we'll
in the morning.
probably
Yeah.
just end for the night then.
All right.
I would like to thank everyone for coming, everyone that participated. Just looking at the stats here on YouTube, it looks like I got a lot more views than I ever did in. Oh my god, all my screens crashed. What's going on? Okay, there they are. I got more views than I would on Twitch. Thank God for the transfer to YouTube. There's a bigger community here for LARP. Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for being a panelist, and we will be back in April. I don't know the date. We never know the next date, but yeah, thank you for all of you being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Have a good night, guys.
Good night,
Well,
everybody.